to the Foul Play YouTube channel. Today we're at open mic number 232. So today, joining me today so far, I'm not sure. Susan messaged me. I'm not sure if she's going to make it, but she's going to try. So joining me today is Dr. Silkman. How you doing today, Doc?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, Jack61, and welcome Sunshine Christina and everybody in chat. It's great to be here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Great podcast last night for us.
Yeah, very interesting.
It was very interesting. And Sunshine Christina, how are you today?
I am well. How are you gentlemen today? It was an amazing podcast last night.
Thank you.
I was stewing on the information and the perspectives and just thinking about it all day today.
Yeah, the seeing that other snowmobile wow. I mean, it's just like forest in the trees kind of thing, I guess. You've seen it before.
Yeah.
But you've never really seen it before.
No, it's hiding in plain sight. And like I said, when you see all the connections, but again, if it wasn't for that diagram that Brendan drew that we saw, just last month, and putting the connections together to prove that the kid was telling the truth about what he did in the garage. And it's just fantastic. The evidence and the proof was right there.
Yeah, I think those of us who have reviewed all the photos, we knew that snowmobile was there. What you did for me is you showed me how they minimized the fact that there were two snowmobiles in play. And the one on the side that Jody and Brendan were talking about, the older one, that one was kind of never discussed because it really threw a wrench in getting the RAV into the garage, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
They just kind of they kind of did a Trooper Austin and tried to like wipe it out of our memory. Yeah. So I appreciate it that was well done how you brought it back into our field of focus, right?
Yeah, but not to harp on about it because we've got a podcast to do with Jack61. But the interesting thing is that you can corroborate eyewitness accounts with Brendan's story and Brendan's narrative and what he said, and it all fitted and it all came together, right? And the fact that Fassbender and Uyghur were trying to trick him, right? And they knew that. Oh, okay. So Brendan is in the garage. What did they do in the garage? Oh, they did some cleaning up. All right, we'll give you that, Brendan. We'll put you in the garage. But what were you cleaning up? Oh, you were cleaning up blood. Oh, whose blood was that? Oh, it was Teresa's, right? So it's really disingenuous the way the narrative was spun around by Fassbender and Uyghur, but also by Kratz, the way he used people's narrative to his advantage. And that's why now, with the documents that we're getting, there's a big problem, right, Jack61, right, Sunshine Christina? They're redacted.
Yeah.
Well,
they're redacted.
And I've spoke and others have spoke on this for a while. O'Kelly has that little I don't want to even know hashtag, we'll call it for lack of a better term. The truth is but a chameleon within our words, right? And it's almost like they have weaved this fantastical tale out of the data they collected. And we are now unraveling it and putting it in the correct lane years later. And if the attorneys would have been able to do that prior to these trials, I don't think these guys would have been convicted. I really don't.
In my opinion, no. And this is the fundamental issue that all of us face. It's trying to de-engineer what the state did, the narrative that the state came up with, especially with Kratz. And like you guys have said yesterday, the opening and closing statements are not evidence. in the trial. But as Kratz alluded to, they're permitted to come up with a theory, right? And as a consequence, they tell a narrative in order to convince a judge and a jury. And as Kathleen Zona said, it can take 20 years to de-engineer the state's narrative, right?
How do you like Jay? How do you like Jay's comment?
It's two. That's right, not two raps. Two. You know, the funny thing is, this is the first time I knew that there were two RAVs. So not two RAVs. Oh God, two snowmobiles. Phenomenal. Yeah. And yet it was there, right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, you know, as you just listened to you guys talk, and I was thinking about it last night and today. It might not be a terrible idea, and I may do it, to reread this pretrial testimony with Austin and Buting String and all the arguments, because what they did, I won't necessarily say was the golden football carrying across the goal line, but still it had to have an impact on that jury.
Yes, it did, because even Trooper Austin said, "Hey, I was told to remove these particular items.
Right. That's right.
Here's the picture that I presented," rather than the reality of what the garage looked like. Because remember, Teresa's car, okay, it's not the biggest car in the world, but it's not small. And you've got to navigate the vehicle into the garage, which meant that you had to remove vehicles, you had to remove things, try and place it in. It was a real tight squeeze. And remember what the narrative of what Fassbender and Wiegert were discussing with Brendan. Oh, we put in the RAV4 and we shot Teresa on the ground while the RAV4 was in there.
That's right.
Right? Yeah. So you've got this weird situation whereby you've got the old Suzuki, the El Tigra, you've got Teresa's RAV4 in there, and you've got Teresa on the ground, and then the shooting incident as well. Plus, you've got all the spent shell casings and the blood and everything on the right-hand side. No splashback or anything on the left-hand side, right? Because remember what Kratz said, once in the back of the head, once on the left temple, there would have been blood spray potentially everywhere. Plus, she was bleeding. And so you would have expected, and Sunshine Christina and UJAC61 pointed out, well, if you have this murder scenario taking place in the garage, you're not going to clean towards the front. You're going to clean everywhere. And you're not going to leave blood and shell casings on the ground and have the risk of saying, oh, don't worry, that's my blood. You're going to clean everywhere, right? You're going to blanket clean the whole garage to make sure there's no forensic evidence there, right? So it's incredible how the state weaved this narrative. And if you follow the transcript, it's Wiegert and Fassbender suggesting to Brendan, oh, where was her RAV? And remember the stories that Brendan said? I was out in the yard, out in the open. Oh, no, that couldn't have been Brendan. Oh, that's right, it was in the garage, but the door was open. And remember what O'Kelly said? So everyone could see. Goes, yeah. And you know, it's funny. Now I put two and two together. You know how Brendan's saying, yeah, we backed in the vehicle? You know what vehicle he was talking about? He was talking about the Suzuki. They backed in the Suzuki, not the RAV4.
Not the RAV4.
Not the RAV4.
Context is key.
It's everything.
Context is key. And we have really gotten away from that in society, like recognizing that words are simply terms. And if you don't understand the purpose for the term being used, that word, if you're allowed to think what you want to think about the word, you're not getting to the truth of the matter. It's almost like confirmation bias at play, isn't it? Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, that's why you've got to be very careful taking sound bites You got to understand the context of the information, right? You can't just put it in isolation. And that's why in yesterday's podcast, we did it meticulously, step by step, photo by photo, a transcript by transcript, report by report. And notice we worked out and we came back in. And Brendan's picture brought it all together perfectly, logically, and it all made perfect sense. Yeah, it was scary.
I think it's a good indicator of a state's case if they're trying to weave a very discombobulated theory of a crime. If it's if it's hard to follow, I think it's intentional because it shouldn't be.
Oh, the 100%. You're correct, Sunshine Christina. It's the straw that breaks the camel's back, right? Because the state's case, the way they pieced it together, is useless. It's very easy to take apart. And then you're reliant on Brendan coming up with the narrative, and Brendan's narrative, as you guys have pointed out, and everybody in chat has pointed out multiple times, is contradictory, convoluted, makes no sense whatsoever. Time-wise, it doesn't fit. So when you're reliant on someone's test, you're correct, Sunshine. If Brendan was there, the story that he would have retold would have been very simple. It would have all fallen out, correct?
Yes.
But it does everything but.
No, and especially if we're supposed to believe that it's a truthful confession, there shouldn't be these drastic extremes in the stories, one. And two, there should be hardcore, concrete, irrefutable evidence of some part of it, not random pieces of evidence that each piece of evidence is also suspect, from how it was obtained, how it was inventoried, how it was analyzed, what was found on it. There's nothing rock solid about this case at all.
It's extremely circumstantial and extremely very contentious. And like I said, now that we can look at it from a wide angle and then start to hone in, the whole thing falls to pieces. And it is extremely worrying. To me, I hear the words from Kathleen Zellner that on average it takes about 20 years to finally get to the truth. That's scary.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's most post-conviction releases is anywhere from 10 to 20 years is not uncommon at all.
And yep, I am all for going through Trooper Austin, doing a podcast on his role in the case, an open mic series on that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I actually, Christina, I think that there were, Doc, correct me if you can remember, or anyone out there, I think there were 2 motions that were argued in front of Willis over this. I think there were 2. One was more lengthy than the other, but I know that there was some lengthy argument from Beauty and String because of what it this animation represented. I think it's worth going through and taking a look at it, because now we can really see this trick and why at least to some degree, why this is a specialized unit within the Wisconsin State Troopers. And I'm not saying they're a bad unit. I think they're a good unit. Look at what we got from them.
Well, actually, it worked out to our advantage, right? Because we were able to get views exploded out and from on top, and we were able to superimpose what Brendan drew. Was just brilliant.
That's right. Plus all the troopers, all the photos that Reese took, that Judge took, at Trooper McConnell took, the aerial photos. Oh my God, where would we be?
And from an open records standpoint, they're one of the nicest Wisconsin agencies to work with to obtain open records.
Absolutely.
and they were actually very pleasant to deal with. Out of all of them, I would say they were probably the most pleasant in Wisconsin from my
Yeah, I mean,
standpoint.
I literally emailed that that lady that I guess she handled. She's the one that I guess delivers stuff out one way or the other. Anyway, I emailed her about having these photos that actually I had asked for something different, but she in turns emails me the 620 or 30 photos that Seeking Truth had already got on CD. I mean, she literally had to send me like 60 emails. So it was a ton because you can only send so much on Gmail because you got a limit, right? There's a
Yes.
limit per email. So she just kept emailing me this. I'm like, oh my God, that's not what I want. I already got. Anyway, so
But
yeah,
but maybe the tide is starting to turn in the MTSO. Maybe they want to clean
well,
up. Maybe they want to clean
uh,
up shop. Maybe they had enough,
yeah,
right? With what's happened with Remica, like I said to you before, guys. Normally, this is something that's kept internal. It's not. It doesn't go this far because it
not
reflects
normally.
back on the department.
That's right. Normally it's handled by infernal repairs.
Correct. Correct.
I do have something that just got posted in our Discord. I think I
Oh,
should pop it on screen. It's about Steven that
okay.
Sandy Greenman had shared. Let me take this off here. Let me stop sharing that. And then I'll share this. Okay. This is movement in Steven's case. I'm not entirely sure what this means. Electronically signed by this Anthony Lambert, I guess is his name.
Yes.
I'm not sure what we can get from this. It says there was a telephone conference on August 31st, 2015. I'm not sure what this means. Please reassign outside of Manitowoc County is what I'm reading. What I'm really reading into it. This line right here. Please reassign outside of Manitowoc County. So they don't want a Manitowoc County judge handling this, or they're going to use this judge and they're going to go to some other county and he's going to travel to it. And then it's got the attorney party information, of course, Zellner, Johnson, and Richards. That's KZ's team. But then we come to the state. Fallon Williams is back on. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe Williams is back on after what he did. Gone, and Lisa Comfort. I thought she was gone from the department, the AG's office, but
Yep.
it's not. I guess not. But I mean, Fallon. I mean, Williams is not young either, but Fallon's got to be pushing. Him and Gone both got to be pushing 70, maybe in their 70s.
Easy.
So anyway, so I thought it'd be interesting to share. I'm, apparently this is coming from this Judge Lambert because it's his name at the top.
Yep.
Please reassign outside of Manitowoc County. So I guess we'll see. Anyway, I wanted to share that. Let me pop this other back on. We'll get started here in a minute. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about, but there was a question. Yeah, Kansas Box's question from last night. Basically, we talked about a little bit about this whole deal with Remiker. I'm sorry, I'm trying to do 4 things at one time. And this whole thing about what you just talked about, Doc and Christina, it being out in the open now, and instead of being handled kind of buried away from the public. what does this mean? I mean, to me, there's also a trail that leads off to say that he's really pissed someone off. I don't know that. Listen, I don't know that. But if that, I mean, you think about these potentially thousands of dollars. Hey, look, I'm not accusing anyone in there of stealing money, but something weird's going on here, right?
Yes.
We either got to trust this special agent that seems to have been going very in a very thorough manner. We got somebody over there, Susan. Looky there. She slid in.
Hey,
Hello.
hey,
There's
Susan.
How's
How are you?
everybody?
Well,
I'm
we're good, but you just got off work, so.
I did,
Well,
but I'm here.
well, we haven't started yet. We've been flapping our gums a little about various
Chit
things.
chatting.
Yeah,
Oh,
but now talking about Remaker and this whole deal. So Remaker's talking about, and I'm just going to leave this alone after this. But Remaker's talked about, he was getting money out of the evidence locker. He's bringing it back to his desk. He's leaving it in various folders. He's putting it in the cabinet. And we talked about this. Why would he do that if he's not ready to do the transaction?
I agree.
Susan pointed.
That was my first question. Like,
That's right.
Why would you take it out of a secure place and leave it hanging around your desk for a long time?
Yeah, if you're not ready.
And different stacks of it here and there and everywhere. I mean,
that's right.
I think it's planned chaos. Like,
well,
he could show he's just so disorganized, maybe they won't. It's an excuse for money missing.
And then he comes up and says, I didn't really understand the paperwork and I fell behind. And so basically,
and the door was always unlocked.
Yeah.
If the door was always unlocked, why would you leave the money in there laying around?
That's right. But he's basically saying also, I'm too dumb to do the paperwork. He tried to play that off as, okay, then why aren't you asking immediately saying, hey, boss, look, I want to do this right.
Yeah. Or get somebody else to do it.
Well, yeah. Give me an assistant here that can help me, go through and keep this stuff in a ledger. We can keep it separated. Money stays locked up, blah, blah, blah. So we do everything right. That didn't happen.
He's got no excuses.
No,
he does.
He's got
a lot of them, but none of them are. Yeah.
Hello, Robert.
No,
I don't think I've seen you before, but welcome to Foul Play and the open mic. But yeah,
hello, chat. I didn't say hello to chat. Hope you're all well.
For Kansas, I don't know that we can really explain what all's going on. I hope more comes out. Like I said, I've requested records. Will I get them right now? I really doubt it. But I felt like
about Remaker.
Oh yeah. I requested all the. Oh, you weren't here last night. I requested the all the DCI reports from that special agent. Wolsey? Yeah, Wolsey. I requested all of her DCI reports. I requested all 3 interviews that I feel certain were audio recorded. Something that, but I requested at least those 2 things. I may have requested something else, but at least those 2 things. Again, will I get them?
Yeah. Do you know what his status is right now? Did they actually arrest him?
I would imagine he posted bail. I haven't actually pulled it up in CCAP. I feel certain he was arrested, and he probably had some kind of bond.
Sure,
I mean, it's a non-violent. Yeah. It's a non-violent nature, but it's still a felony.
Yep.
You get over $500, or isn't it $500? Well, I guess it depends on the state. Many states, $500. More than that, it's felony if you steal it.
And then I remember there was a court date coming up, maybe in December.
I think so. I think so. Maybe somebody can look that up in CCAP and see what they can see from the record. But I just don't think we can. I don't think I can fully answer Kansas' question from last night. I just give you my thoughts. Let me finish my thought. So you got all this money that's piled up inside this office, and these guys, I'm sure there's multiple desks and different detectives and officers that work inside that drug unit task force area. What was going on in there? Was it free for all? I don't know, man. That's what it seems like, though. And somebody says, "Hey, you're getting too much of my money," or "We didn't split that right." Whatever. So this is just another thought. It's complete speculation, guys. I want to make that clear. I'm speculating. I don't know that. For all I know, Remaker is a complete dumbass and pulled all this money out and just left it everywhere, and it got people, other guys in the office took it. For all I know, it doesn't look that way. Go ahead, Doc.
But this is precisely why you need incredible and impeccable record keeping to prevent this type of crap from going on.
Yep.
Because this is exactly how corruption takes place within the department. It's sort of like, well, you scratch my back, I scratch your back, and I leave out all these envelopes out in the open. And when they went and checked for the presence of that money, they couldn't find it. And mind you, they only looked at, I think, 5 cases. They only went back 5 cases.
7 years. 7 years.
Right? So potentially you don't know how wide this issue is. And
right.
if it may not just involve money, it may involve a contraband, it may involve ammunition, it may involve forensic evidence, all sorts of stuff. And don't forget, Culhane was doing the same thing. She was keeping a lot of the forensic evidence that should have been locked up at a workbench in a cupboard, right? And so there's a big issue about chain of custody and the bona fides of that. In Remaker's case, the money, but also it now brings in other issues as well. Were they taking drugs? Were they removing drugs from the forensics, from the evidence locker, right? And you got to be naive to think that that's the only department that this has happened to. It's happened in multiple counties, multiple countries, where all of a sudden money, drugs, weapons go missing. No one knows where it is.
Anything of value, not just.
Go ahead.
No.
I was just going to say, he's just been charged with misconduct in office and failure to perform known duty. So felony 1, which is, the lowest. What about theft? All his money's missing. I guess, I don't know.
Well, I think that there's I think that more charges may be forthcoming, right?
Could be, yeah.
I think this is how they put everyone on notice that they're digging in. Now, here's what's interesting. So when did they went back? What did we say? 5 or 6 years?
7 years.
2019.
2019.
I thought it was 2017.
Well, they're saying that's the offense date.
So
1/1/2019.
So if it is found that he, while still actively investigating cases, was committing felony acts, then that opens the door for his entire police career to come under scrutiny. Kind of like the lady who had the meth problem, who was doing the blood analysis and all those cases that she was a part of. And then same with Kratz, with the issues he had as a DA. And unlike the DA, cops do have immunity for some of this stuff, but not a blanket immunity like DAs. So this is hopeful, because it could potentially open the door, because he had an active role in Stephen's case and collecting evidence. And if you can find him felony conduct unbecoming of an officer. Now, that's like dereliction of duty stuff. You are
Yeah.
entrusted to perform at a high standard, and it is clear that you have not. Now, how do we determine how long that has been going on and what other cases could be a part of that is going to be, that's the interesting thing at play here. And I keep coming back to, remember when Kim Ducott and I always forget her name.
Courtney Skinner.
Yeah.
Courtney Skinner.
Do you remember when they went and saw Buting and Strang and they were talking? They had they recorded that conversation.
Yeah.
Did y'all ever listen to the things they were saying? Then you
I'm
know,
sure I
Courtney
did.
hasn't been
Sure, I
around.
listened to all of it, but
Yeah,
I don't
Courtney
remember
hasn't.
it.
Right after that is when Courtney went MIA off of social media, and I'm just curious because if they were able to, you know, it's just, this is going to be an interesting thing to watch play out. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, yeah, but sorry, Susan, it could either be very small or it can be very expansive. I'm talking about Remica's issues. It could either be very targeted, oh, okay, he did this wrong, or it can be opened up for further scrutiny and further investigation. And remember who the first person in Stephen's garage was? Remica.
Remica
Yeah.
was.
You know who was in charge of the forensic evidence? Remica.
Remica. That's
And,
right.
and
what's your prediction? What's y'all's prediction on which way it's going to go? Small or big?
Big. They're going to throw
I
him to
think
the
it's
wolves.
gonna go big. I think
they're going to brush it under the, like, small. Maybe you'll get a fine. You know,
I think that
I don't know.
I think that these guys have been getting away with so much for so long that he got sloppy, he got careless, and he got caught. And I think he's been caught in a way where it has, depending on, I'm just trying to think what I would have done if I'd have been in Wisconsin trying to expose this stuff and I had people willing to help me do it. And I mean, we saw what Courtney was up to, like her little undercover videos, you know, people would make fun of her and all that. But if she's willing to do those things and people are writing her off and she was able to document stuff, they don't really have a choice, you know, because what do? You either let go of this or you risk all your dirty laundry from decades. And these men, some of these men are pushing 75, 80 years old. Think about how long Bill Cosby lasted once he went to prison for a couple of years. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
what do you do? What do you do?
Now, I see that there's been 3 FOIA requests for his records. When did you put yours in it?
It would have been
like the 7th, like 10 days ago.
No, it was more like today's Sunday, so it would have been
out there.
Wednesday or Thursday last week.
Oh, it's not on here yet.
It will.
Have you gotten a response?
Nope.
Oh, well, that's why they'll put it on here when they.
Yeah. Let's say I'm out of the office until next year. I've had that before too. Another delay tactic.
Anyway. His court date is the 12th.
December 12th.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess we'll see what happens. I don't know. I just see a snake pit. I don't know about you, Doc, Susan, Christina, everybody out there. I see a snake pit here. Because Manitowoc is not a small county, and it's been known for. I mean, Remica's been involved in this drug task force one way or the other for,
Long time.
well, if we look, yeah, I mean, we look at even in 2005.
1990, he was working the DARE program in the schools in 98. So so he's been around for a hot minute. And
Yeah, that's almost
Oh, yeah.
27 years.
and there have been multiple Manitowoc County residents on social media, and I've had them contact me throughout the years who have said that he's a dirty cop and has been from the beginning. And I've
I mean,
discussed that before because, like we know that, you know what I mean? But knowing it and being able to prove it are two different things. And clearly someone somewhere was able to get them to get him investigated over a $40 seat in a sports venue, a seat cover that he tried to steal. So that's what started this. And
well, there was another tip that came in, and we don't really know the origin of that.
Yep.
That
What
opened
other
up this.
tip?
It had to start this whole ball rolling about the
Somebody
shortage,
called
the
and said that
Well,
$208. Remember?
that's not what the paper said.
no, the
Or
paper
that
said
we read. It said
The
that
paper
because
said-
he had stolen that seat cover,
mhm,
it made the, what's his name, look at,
Hartwood.
yeah,
he's like,
made him
it
look
was-
at his money.
But you know that's bullshit.
responsibilities.
You know that's bullshit, right?
I don't know.
well,
Well,
it was the excuse that he could use publicly for why he was doing
Yeah.
it.
They're giving they're doing Remica a favor, right?
Yeah.
So in other words, the public perception is they're giving an excuse as to why they would further investigate Remica. Now, if Remica stole a $40 seat cover, you really think they're going to go hard on him and look at what he's doing with drug money, proceeds of drug money? No, they'll call him in and say, "You got an explanation for this?" Right? Believe me,
Actually,
I've worked at a university for a long period of time, and if you're being looked into for, say, scientific fraud, or there's something wrong with the way you mark exams or whatever, it doesn't come out of the blue. It comes out of a long time investment in people looking at you. And
pattern.
this is, they look for a pattern. You're correct. And what they do is they look for discrepancies with your spreadsheets and their spreadsheets. And so they follow, because you've got to present information to the boss, right? So they look for a pattern. And if they notice a recurrence of things which don't add up over a long period of time, you're investigated, and it's normally done behind your back. So him stealing the cover was the precipitating force that they needed to say, so you're stealing, huh? Oh, look what we noticed. There's all this money gone. There's all this money missing. Are you a kleptomaniac, Remica? Done.
It's actually quite embarrassing how they are exposing him in the way that they are. They chose to use what he did wide open in the public.
Yep.
And put him on blast for doing it, right?
Yes.
And said, you know, he's so petty. He thinks he's entitled to steal this seat cover because of whatever. And because he chose to do that, we chose to look into his duties as a police officer. They are making a clear distinction between how they conduct themselves and how Remiker conducts himself. And they're saying, we aren't like him. We don't want to be like him. we don't want to be thought of being like him. It's almost like a changing of the tide.
Yes, cleaning up shop.
Well,
Yep.
that goes back to, if it started with this $40 seat cover, which could have easily been taken care of, he gets a reprimand, whatever, but it didn't. It dove off into a much deeper pool, and then involving the DCI to come in and do an audit, which apparently she did. She looked everywhere for that money. And we've not even talked about auditing the evidence locker yet.
Yep.
I mean, how big is that can of worms? Seriously.
Huge. And so what they'll do now is they'll look at everything that Remica's done. They'll look at his buddies who were involved, and potentially they can rope in a lot of people. And remember what Remica said. That'll be labeling someone as a criminal. And what he said?
Yeah.
He wasn't willing to go that far, but he did say, my office is open. Anybody can walk in, right?
Well,
Meaning, guys, if you talk, I'm going to talk. Done.
I just asked the maintenance guy how many times he's came in and the drug task force door's been unlocked and blah blah. Yep. So he's throwing the fishing line out there pretty far. Anyway, we've had a lot of really good comments. I did point out to Nan's Life about this recent document to Avery. It's posted in our Discord. So the only thing that I could get from it is that they want his case reassigned outside of Manitowoc County. Nan's Life. That's all I can get from it. So anyway, all right. If you guys are ready, let's dive back in head first. What do you say? As it were. This is where we left off, and I will tell you guys that you'll see this up here, neighborhood canvas. There are a lot of these. A lot. They went around Jambo Creek Road. Any neighbor that was surrounding the Avery salvage yard, they went and talked to these people. So I don't know of anything that they gleaned from any of it. And of course, we've got redactions. Now, some of these we've got, some of them we don't. But if anybody wants to take the time to go and look up the names of these people, that's fine. I'm not going to do it in this setting. I'm more interested in looking at. See, here's another one, neighborhood canvas. I'm just going to keep moving. That's DCI report 55. November 7th. And, a lot of it was done by Heimerl and Seiler. There were others involved too that did help with this neighborhood canvas. Another neighborhood canvas, again on the 7th. There's another neighborhood canvas again on the 7th. As you can see, there are a bunch of these. I don't know if they're all in a row, but definitely the first part of the investigation, they canvassed this whole area. Why don't I do this? So make it better instead of doing the scroll. Another one on the 7th, neighborhood canvas. And here's an interview of blank. Now this is number 60. By Willie A. Brantley from the Narcotics Division of Milwaukee, and Thomas J. Gorick of the Narcotics Division of the DCI Milwaukee. Now, I'm glad to look this up. If you guys wanted to see if we have it, I don't really have any idea if we've got it or not. Let me pull the file up. That way we can say we've done it. We do have it.
Susan, while he's doing that, did you see Melissa Lucio was found factually innocent?
Well, I saw the tweet about it from what's his name? But wasn't that quite a while back?
No,
No.
just
Well,
happened.
yeah, it's so I think it might have been like a week or two ago, but it hit the media feeds a couple of days ago. It's on the
That's
cover of the New York Times.
so does
At
that
the
mean she's getting out?
Got to
well,
go for the tax court of appeals for
yeah,
approval.
but
Right.
finding of factual innocence is huge in at
That's
least getting her
fantastic.
off death row. Yeah, for
Oh
sure.
my
And
God.
then I'm not sure what the avenue is. I had been in a dialogue with a lady that was handling her appeals prior to the Innocence Project stepping in.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I thought about reaching out to her to see if she could kind of explain how that process works in Texas with death row defendants, because, I really don't know. But I know
So
factual innocence is a big deal
was
because
that at an evidentiary hearing or that
it
she
was
that was
it was on an appeals brief at the district. I
oh
want to say it's the Court of Appeals at the district level. I haven't read the filing on it. I'm gonna look into it some
mhm.
more, but I just wanted to share that while he was getting that pulled up to see. So
That's great news. That's
yeah,
great news. I thought it was something that had happened previously, but it was waiting for, more uh, judicial stuff to happen. I know. But
yeah.
yeah,
It's going
that's
to be interesting
fantastic.
to see if they appeal it or if they let her go. I mean, either way,
Yeah.
I think she's done 18 years, somewhere around there. I think
2007,
yeah. So
17
You
years.
know,
So,
the Missouri Supreme Court says that factual innocence doesn't matter.
of course not.
Actual innocence.
Of course
yeah,
not.
Yeah.
yeah.
Procedure is way more important.
Well,
Right.
Wisconsin says that too. They all say that. They would rather,
Yeah.
because for them justice isn't about justice. It's about legally
Finality.
Procedure.
yeah, it's
Finality.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Suffers.
finality though. But
Here's
if
my oops.
it makes no sense to me if finality equals an innocent person being wrongfully convicted.
Yeah, but then if they, if they release them, they don't have finality anymore, and then they have that's one more case they have to fool with, and that's just an irritation. That's why it comes across, whether that's true or not. So
Yes, so let's create more victims. Let's leave
yeah,
a potential criminal on the streets. Let's damage more families, and let's not get actual justice just to keep a case closed.
exactly. That's right. All right. Yeah, I did find this one. I can tell you that some of these in the 60s we don't have. I just looked. But this guy that they interviewed is Gregory Phillips on 1110. I don't remember. Okay. We got the header page. That's all we have of that one. So that's great. We don't have the actual interview itself.
Good Lord. You see under your scars. 10 shot, 1 dead in New Orleans parade.
Oh my God. That is so disgusting.
Oh.
Why anyone would do that. Where in their mind
Crazy world.
where in your mind do you have to go to say, I'm going to get a gun, I've got a gun, or whatever the case may be, and I'm just going to go shoot a bunch of people because I'm mad or I can't, whatever, man.
Yeah.
The devaluing of another human, whether you know them or not, or even like them or not, is just gone.
Yeah. Actually, come to think of it, I haven't heard of a mass shooting for quite some time, which is pretty amazing because they were like almost every day. But that is just so sad.
It is.
It could happen to anybody, anywhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's move on.
Oh, that one's redacted too. The one you had.
Oh yeah.
Or
Well,
is
no,
this the new
no,
one? Oh,
that's the new one.
oh, okay.
The original, I have the header page. That's all there is. And remember, some of the ones that yours and Rookie got, we have the header page, but nothing else. And others, we have the report, but not the header page.
Go back up just a little bit, Jack. I just noticed something. He's talking about the berm.
On this
Back
one,
down. Yeah.
that
It's
it?
further down.
Further down.
Yeah. What do you say about the berm? Notice that the Ford Mustang was moved to the side of the brake in the berm. And the other blue Ford was missing.
The brake because blank used to own same type vehicle in the past and always took a notice of the vehicle. Once said that earlier on the day in 11:10, while near the berm, he noticed that the Ford Mustang was moved to the side of the brake in the berm. Huh.
Well, LEO still had control of the property, right?
Yeah, on the 10th, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep, they did. Yeah,
And,
I skimmed this report. Go ahead, Doc.
by the way, Gregory Phillips was on the Avery salvage yard on the 5th.
Oh, really?
Yep.
He must have bought something and they've got his name out of the ledger.
I'm looking at the MTSO report. They took an inventory of all the vehicles and individuals that were on the Avery salvage yard on the 5th, and he was in a 1995 Chevrolet Camaro, and it's got the occupant Gregory Phillips. Isn't that interesting? He was on the Avery salvage yard.
Interesting. Well, these two guys from Milwaukee are also being pulled in, and that's another thing we did find out in getting all these DCI reports. There are far more agents involved and other, more local. And I say local, I mean like Milwaukee sheriff's deputy or whatever detective were also used in many of these interviews and part of the investigation. There are a bunch of people involved in this. I dare say between all the different law enforcement agencies, well into the hundreds of different individuals. When you guys guess that? Because I think I counted one time. I think there were at least 50 DCI agents in one way or another involved. 50.
And you know what Gregory Phillips did as a job? Driving trucks for Redont.
Oh my God.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Well, we know that they interviewed a bunch of them too.
Yep. And they know nothing.
Right. Okay, here we got the criminal complaint on 11/15. This is a Fassbender report. He actually filed it on the same day that it occurred. Amazing. Good job. And of course, it's got everything listed there. Well, it's got two things listed. Yeah, I was just looking at the subject. Okay, got the Avery salvage yard, Steve and Avery, and then Teresa is the victim. It's got her car, the RAV. And hey, it's dark green. Woohoo! Okay. The criminal complaint will be electronically attached, so maybe it's attached. I don't know if it is or not. And it looks like it is. We are going to go through that. We've all seen this. But now they added, of course, we know that later on, several charges were added. We've all seen that. Okay, 62 contains entities exempt from the disclosure. So there's an interview of Barb on the 6th. wonder if that was recorded. I bet you it was. Looks like another request in the wind. And of course, we got a ton of people mentioned in this. And of course, I got Brendan and Blaine as two exempted because of their age. Mentioned, blacked out. Okay, what did I say? This is 62. I just want to see if we have that one. I'll be shocked if we do. Oh, hey.
Brendan and Blaine are not redacted.
No,
That was
they're
somebody
not.
else.
Yeah. No, they're not redacted. No, they're yeah, they said they were exempt, but they left their name in there. I'm guessing because they testified. Here's one. This is a prime example of one that we have the body of the report, but no header. Not kidding.
You know, that's, let me see, go back up, or let me see how that's.
Yeah, this is the one that we got, but yours or rookie got 62 original. This is the 2024 report.
And go to the top of the 2024. You know what I think? You remember the ACES? Remember I went on that rabbit hole for a while
Oh yeah.
about how some of those reports have the ACES, and they actually questioned somebody in the civil suit depositions. I think those were pulled off the ACES thing. Who did this report?
This is Fassbender.
Mm-hmm.
I know that when, back when Rookie and yours went after trying to get all the DCI reports, they ended up asking for agency copy. They didn't ask for a copy. They asked for the agency copy, which directly pointed to what CASO or Manitowoc had on file. That's their agency. And I guess that wording triggered it. But for them to not include the header on some of these is very telling for me. And even some of these, like this one, of course, there's I pointed out the change that a lot of the things that they removed from the header in the 2024 report. But I feel strongly that this interview would have been recorded at Barb. I'm going to request it. Maybe I'll get it in a few years. Data reports the 11th. We've got, let's see if there's a direct. This doesn't look like the same report. Or we're missing a page.
We're missing a page. Correct.
Yeah, we're missing a page here. This is a 13-page report, and we'll see how far this one goes. I'll just count them as we go. I'm not going to read it, unless you guys just want to read it.
No, that's the one where they asked Barb to give a day-to-day account of what she did in chronological order, and she also refused to give Scott Tadich's name to the detective. It's the same report.
17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 21-page report. And I promise you that the one we originally had, there's nothing like that.
No, we got
pages
missing.
13 pages, so a bunch of it's missing.
Yep.
Man, that's so bad. It's so bad. Anyway.
That's the issue when you're trying to reconstruct a timeline and determine chronology. When you've got pieces of information missing and redactions, I tell you what, it's made your job so much harder.
It does. If you're just trying to look into a case, you think about, some of these different criminal course that a class gets involved, they get asked to look into a case and they run across a situation like this. It becomes extremely difficult. Somebody that, Innocence Project will come along and says, hey, look, we need some help. We need more eyes. See what you can find with this case. And they get dumped a bunch of redacted records that you really literally lead on virtually nowhere in a lot of these. Another one, person that's redacted. I'm now curious because this is Carla's interview. This was also on the 6th. So I know I've got 63.
Yeah, Carla was with Barb, same restaurant.
Yep, that's right. So the person that got redacted looks like, oh, I'm guessing Stacy. Well, they were born in 70. I don't know why they would be redacted. See that? 35 years old. Why would they be redacted? I don't understand that. Anyway, I'm going to move on. Teresa, okay, this submits. Okay, this fingerprint palm print. This is on the 9th, or all that happened at Aurora. And I did want to mention something here before I forget. I keep forgetting. I don't know if Case 10's listening or not. But we got into a discussion some time ago about when Avery was arrested after Aurora. And there's a report in here that completely details this. I'm not just making stuff up. Anyway, remember, Glenn and Kelly found out very quickly after that Stephen had gotten arrested, and they immediately started trying to get in contact, telling him to shut the hell up, don't talk to the cops. Anyway, there was this disappearing act for several hours. Well, they took him to Two Rivers Police Department instead of Queso for some reason. We don't really know why, but there was this discussion. But they actually did take him to Two Rivers, and there's some report in here that talks about this. Actually, I think there might be two. There might be two reports. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up before I forgot to mention it again, because there was some thought that, well, because you can see it in the video itself, it says Two Rivers on it. Glenn and Kelly are trying to get in contact with to talk to their client, and of course they were blocked all evening. They played games so that he was isolated away from his lawyer, but they knew he had a lawyer. They had to know because his secretary called first. She might have called twice. I know you guys remember the dispatch calls.
That's right.
Then,
he called in.
That's right. And I think he called, but I think he called around, the secretary, I think, called at 2:30 or 2:35. It was not very quickly after that. They found out. I don't know who called them. I'm guessing somebody did, and said, hey, they've arrested Steve, and took him away. And then that didn't work. I think she called back, secretary. That didn't work. So Glenn or Kelly started calling, and he called a couple of times. And finally, it was 9 o'clock before he got 9 or 9:30 before he got in to see him. It's ridiculous, the game they played with him. Anyway, yeah. And that's the fingerprint card, and they give the queso ledger. Of course, there's a lot of people on this one. And then this is the crime lab report. This is the good thing about what's got released, because a lot of not everything, obviously, but a lot of things got attached in this. Next one, the garage door opener obtained from Teresa Hallbach's vehicle. This happened on the 10th, which seems a little late in the day. This is 4 days after they got the freaking RAV, and they're just now reporting about this garage door opener. I find that a little odd. I don't know what you guys think, if anything. Pretty lengthy. Teresa testing the garage door opener at the Avery family property. I remember that. Touching garage door opener at Teresa Hallbach's residence. And of course, you got
I
a
guess
bunch
they
of
were hoping maybe it was Stevens.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Hmm.
Yep. And this is the DOJ's ledger, I guess. Crime lab. And then the release return. And of course, it says it's wrapped in duct tape. That's another little thing that remember Kelly Plitskin, Teresa's friend, talked about it being wrapped in duct tape.
Yeah, and she had a duct tape key ring.
That's
right.
correct.
Key.
She kept on losing.
The fob.
Yeah.
Report 66 is transport of evidence from the Avery property to the crime lab. Of course, that typically Holmes is involved in that quite a bit. Agent Choi is involved in that quite a bit. I'm not going to go through and I mean, it's got everything listed there. If anybody wants to look at it. And then, anytime you see these D numbers like this here, that's a DCI property. This is their version of their property tag. Queso has their own, et cetera, et cetera. And then it's got the Queso. The Queso's got their own numbers. So anybody that's new and listening in, that's why. And then, of course, the Department of Justice. This is their little ledger. I guess chain of custody as well as attached. And then the crime lab. We're not going to go through that. Next report 67. Teresa Hallbach personal items at the crime lab. We got Holmes and Sturdivant's involved. That Sturdivant just gets around, don't he? One box Motorola phone. That's nice. I knew she had another phone, and it just really didn't dawn on me that she had her old Motorola phone. Was it a Razor? Does anybody remember? Before she traded in, she got the new contract with Singular. She got a new phone. Was her old phone a Razor?
I can't
I'm
remember.
not sure.
Okay.
I think it was, because I feel like we had the same one.
Well, I was thinking it was a Razor, but the one of the first versions of the Razor, not the updated newer one that she got when she signed the contract with Singular. Moved her service, but that's a pot for another day. And gives the property tags, blah blah blah. We'll move on. The lab, the State Crime Lab. Report 68. Transfer bone material. Yeah, what do we got here? From the Avery property to the Dane County morgue. This is on the 10th. The report date is the 15th. James Holmes again. Suspected bone material. Suspected bone found charred pile at the
Charred pile where?
Yeah, found in charred pile at CC Sheriff. So I'm saying that's Calumet County. Next one is container containing bone fragments found north of burn pile, south of garage. They're saying burn pit. And the next one down,
that's the insulation, probably.
yeah. Containing bone. The next one down, number 3, found east side of dugout hole, south of the garage. Again, the burn pit. Container of bone fragments found west side of the burn pit. Next one, material suspected to be burnt bone south of Red House trailer.
Yeah.
Really? What is that? And they don't list the number. Maybe that'll be on down here. And then the last one, plastic baggie containing dental structures. Okay.
Dental structures.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it interesting how See, they put dental structures, but they don't say human or animal, right? And we know that most, if not, most of the teeth that were found were like deer and all that. Now, they did come up with some root fragments they said were human. But when you read that and you know it's a murder case, your first thought is it has to be human, right? But the reality is it probably isn't, because we know they tested a ton of stuff and most of it was animal in nature, if it was even dental to begin with.
Yeah. Remember all the teeth they say they found?
Yeah.
It says teeth. Yeah.
Yeah. But they never found an actual tooth of
No,
Teresa Hallbox
no,
or a
no,
human at all.
no intact teeth were found, and all the crowns were gone. They only found 2 dental roots that similarly had to super glue together and compare it to Teresa's X-ray that was done years prior.
But he
Right.
Where's the
wouldn't
rest of
confirm-
all
he-
her teeth? My God.
No one knows.
Where's all
How many
her teeth?
do we have?
Where's all of
Yeah.
her teeth?
Exactly.
And
Because-
only
Because
part
they
of the
only
jaw was found too.
Right. They only found root fragments. They can't even
Correct.
Turn to
say
ash.
they're root fragments because they didn't. There's no DNA.
There's no
And
DNA.
these are root fragments they glued together and said they look like they could be hers compared to an X-ray.
He wouldn't
So-
If you
confirm
look
it.
at it, they don't even look like they match.
No.
No.
That
You
used to
look at the
get
photo.
7 pop get 7 pops panties in a wad, boy. Whenever they
Yeah.
would try and talk about that, because she had experience in that field and she knew
Oh,
how
yeah.
misleading that whole narrative was.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, Simile wouldn't. He wouldn't confirm that this was Teresa. He wouldn't do it. But,
Correct.
beyond scientific certainty, things they only say in court. They won't say that.
Correct. He was not definitive, and it's very difficult when you compare because he had to super glue the 2 root fragments together. But the biggest issue for me is that all the crowns of the teeth were gone.
Yeah.
All gone, and only part of the jaw was found, which meant that a large proportion of Teresa's skull has never been recovered.
Never.
That's a worry when you consider that she's meant to be cremated in situ in one spot. There's something
huge.
really going on. There's something
Yeah.
really going on. Correct.
And especially because crowns are more
Very
heat resistant
very
than,
heat resistant. Correct.
yeah, compared to
Correct.
bone.
And that's why when Kathleen Zorner spoke with the Dr. Symes, and he goes, there's a lot of bones which are very resistant to burning, the spinal column, the hips, the ribs, which are very resistant, very hard to burn. Where are they? They're missing, right? And they only recovered 35% of Teresa's skull. And you're correct. No bones have been DNA tested. Not one.
Yep. Not one.
Only muscle
That's-
tissue.
That's really important too to me.
Yeah.
Why didn't they? If they're going to do anything in 2011, why didn't they rapid test the bone fragments?
Well, you see, this is why, in a lot of cases like this, the district attorney or the judge prevents further DNA testing
Yep.
because potentially it could confuse the jury, right?
Well,
Tested the
take it away.
bones, and they don't come back to Teresa Hallbach.
they take you away from finality. They take and now you've removed finality, right?
Oh,
and
that's
that's
correct.
That's a
That-
big deal. I keep saying that word, but that is a big word in the legal community.
That is correct, and this is why reports like this are so important, because when you look out, part of Teresa's hip was allegedly found in the box of bones in Stephen Avery's burn pit. The other part of Teresa's hip was found in the Manitowoc County gravel pit. And that's the one that Eisenberg refused to classify as human. She said, suspect, possible human. So all they had to do was get all the bone fragments and try and reassemble them together, right? They never did that.
No.
They tried to reassemble the skull from the fragments that they had, but they never tried to put the hip fragments together. But
No.
what was found at the Manitowoc County gravel pit was the only bone that had two fragments joined together.
Yeah.
They were articulated. The only ones out of the whole lot. And Eisenberg refused to classify it as human because she knew that had she said, yeah, that's human, the state then had to work out, wait a minute, what the hell's part of Teresa's hip doing several kilometers apart in two different piles?
Oh, she would have had to got a damn bodyguard and escort out of the courtroom.
Oh, yeah. That makes no sense.
Especially when Stephen Avery didn't leave his property.
That's right. And that's why Kratz said the evidence at the Manitowoc County gravel pit is not evidence at all. Forget
Right.
about it.
That's right.
Yeah, truly astounding.
But her report,
Because I
her
said
actual
so.
report, well, because her report said something different than what she testified to.
That's correct. Human bones.
Yeah.
Not burnt
Yep.
human bones. So, sorry, Susan. The question is it Teresa or is it the body of another female dumped?
That's right.
Could
Right?
very likely be. Yes.
So
And
why
they
not?
didn't and they didn't investigate.
They didn't investigate. So when they gave the bones back to the Horbach family, is it their daughter or somebody else's?
That's right.
Right.
What the hell, guys?
That's right.
It's
I agree.
crazy.
Yeah.
This one right here, I've highlighted it, is the one that says suspected to be burned bone obtained south of Red House trailer. Not the good. It doesn't say, all this other, the burn pile.
It doesn't
This
have
south of
the
it.
address, of the trailer. Make it
Well, it
more
may have, but
specific,
yeah, yeah, I don't disagree, but this is not saying the burn pile. What bone are they talking about? Maybe we need Duke calling our
Yeah,
cars.
south of the trailer. There's probably some bone that Bear was chewing on.
End report.
Don't
Here's-
laugh because we got a
Steak
photograph
bone.
of a bone. It's obviously an animal bone that Bear probably was chewing on.
Probably.
Yeah.
35. 36 been got some weirdness going on there with I guess that's 36. Yep, it is 36, and it's got something written right there. I don't know what that says. Anyway, I'm gonna move on. Stuff like that irritates me. I don't know what that is, and I feel certain we don't have any photographs of it. Okay, 69. Transport of evidence obtained from Brian Dassey to crime. Oh, this is probably his fingerprint card and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Buckle swap, yeah, exactly what it is. Okay, then 70. Transport of dental structures from the Dane County Morgue to Dr. Donald Simley. So we probably got this one. I'm not going to look. 71 dental records for to Dr. Donald Simley. So this is Teresa's dental records being transported to him. 72 transfer of biological material from Avery property to the crime lab. We can scroll through this a little bit. Got some pill boxes, paper bag, 2 of those, another pill box, charred material. It's going to outline what those are. If anybody wants to read it, I'm not going to go into that one. I don't have any major questions. Well, I take that back. This is one of the ones. I think it was 7927 or 28. Maybe it was 28. I know it was one of the pillboxes that was empty when Eisenberg got it. Now, Cole Haynes said it was she received it and it was empty too. So what the hell is going on here? Why would someone send an empty pillbox? Get it. Anyway, moving on. This is the CASO ledger, then the DOJ ledger, and then the crime lab ledger. 73. Another neighborhood canvas. We're going to move on. Another neighborhood canvas. This is on the, again, we're going back to the 7th. And again, I talked to Sunshine Christina about this, and I'm just going to briefly mention it. The DCI reports we've got now in the foul play library are listed by the report date. And to me, these need to be listed by the occurrence date. Now, if somebody can talk me into why this is more important than when they actually did it, I'm glad to listen. But I think the report should be listed in sequential order for me.
I agree.
If you're researching
occurrence, yeah, don't worry about the report date, because some of those reports are days, weeks,
months.
In case of Colbert, the
months.
year after, forget it. Yeah, you need to have a chronology of when the occurrence took place, because that's very important, because it gives clues as to who they talked to, when they talked to, and what type of forensic evidence they were processing and from where. Don't worry about the report date. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because I think the sequence in which this stuff happened is exactly what Doc just said. So, ultimately, when we get done with this project, the reports are going to be out of order by the number, but they'll be in order of the occurrence date, starting from old to new. That's the plan. Just letting you guys know. Anyway, another neighborhood canvas. We're going to move on. 75. Was that 74? Yeah, it was. I'm sorry. 75, another neighborhood canvas. Again, this is Heimerl and Seiler. Another neighborhood canvas. Heimerl. Guess he went and did this one by himself. Another neighborhood canvas, 77. Another one, 78. An interview, 79. Let's see if we have 79. Just to see if we can find out. Let me close this other one off here. See if we can find out who they interviewed that they've redacted, if we have it. We do have it. It was an interview of, let me blow that up. Katie Guix. That name doesn't ring a bell. Looks like she's around the same age as Teresa, born in 81. It looks like her husband, maybe. So if anybody's interested in reading that one, I'm sure I'll read it at some point, but it's been a long time. Moving on, another neighborhood canvas. 81, another neighborhood canvas. Another one, it's 82. 83. 84. And you can see Heimerl did a bunch of these. He's named is on, I won't say every report, but a lot of them. Another one, 85. 86, another one. We're up to the 12th now. Still canvassing. Search of the Eagle Talon which I think belonged to, didn't that belong to Brian or one of the Dassey boys?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, I was thinking it did. 80, 88, another neighborhood canvas, again, Heimerl. Another neighborhood canvas, again on the 12th. Interview, execution of search warrant. Interview Avery and execution of search warrant. And here it is, the 9th, report date the 15th. And got a bunch of people listed. I don't know if we have this one. I'm not gonna look for this one. You can see that there's a videotape and a microcassette. I don't think we have the microcassette. I don't know it's important that we have it, since we have the actual video. Let me go back up. I apologize. I'm going to look at something. Yeah, this is on the 9th. And it says that it happened from 12:33 to 16. So this was when he went to Aurora, and this is when they took him to Two Rivers. This one right here. And remember, from Manitowoc, I don't know exactly where Aurora is in the Manitowoc area, but from Manitowoc to Chilton, where Queso is about a 40 or 50-minute drive, depending on traffic. So it's not just like a route around the corner. Two Rivers, I guess, is kind of towards that direction to the west, but I don't know the area that well. So anyway, videotape, cassette, and then it goes into look like a multi-page report talking about the interview itself. And then I guess this is the warrant. Yeah, arrest bench warrant. Yep, it is. And then the search warrant, possession of firearm by a felon. This, of course, triggered, and as we know, Avery had a gun permit, which triggered Strauss into almost a heart attack. The Miranda warning, and then the search warrant itself. And then we're up to 91, interview of truck drivers, and I'm pretty sure this is at Verdun. Verdun's truck drivers, I think, isn't that right?
Yep.
Yeah, Fred Verdun, Sons Business. It actually gives their names. Of course, dated birth redacted, which I don't care about that. I mean, it's helpful, but if you're actually looking for someone to talk to, you don't necessarily have to have that. There are other ways to identify someone. Anyway, it goes through that interview process. Interview is another blank here, and I'm going to look. I'm just curious to see if we have 92. And we don't. It's one of the ones we were not able to get. This is also done by the Milwaukee DCI guy and the narcotics detective. Or narcotics, yeah. No, narcotics DCI guy from the DOJ. Yep, information pertaining to the lane that led from the blank to the Avery property. Are they talking about the back way in from Verdun? Bear Road or something? What the hell? Anyway, I'm not going to read it. Interview of neighbors of Avery property, which we know that they've been doing the same two guys in the last report. 94, interview of another truck driver at Verdun. Says truck drivers employment of Verdun Quarry, and that goes into their statements. 95, interview of Scott Taddick. This is the first one that he gave on the 10th. We've got that report. 96, service search warrant of Brian Dassey. This is when he went to have his buccal swab and so forth. There it is. Prints. This one was recorded. We have this interview uploaded to the Foul Play Library. The search warrant itself, Miranda warning, and then the return. Search warrant. Okay, now we're up to 97. Photograph of Stephen Avery's burn barrel. I think these might be attached, but I can't remember. This was by Heimerl and Seiler. I guess their report. Nope, they didn't attach. See, here's another one, a prime example. They took photographs of these burn barrels, but they didn't attach the photographs. Some of them, they did attach stuff. So why are they not photographing? Why are they not attaching all the photographs that were taken? It's wrong. 98. Second contact with somebody. 98. And we don't have 98. Of course we don't. So let's move on. This is again by Heimerl and Dettering. This is on the 14th. Yeah, I can't tell. I don't know who that is. 99. We do have 99. Oh, even the one that we got. This must be another one. It's also redacted. Okay. I'll just close it. Yeah, it makes a lot of this so difficult, and they did that for a reason. 100. Got some allegedly exempt people. Interview of Tom Yanda. Okay. Yeah, they got Blaine and Brendan as exempt, but they got their name anyway. Anyway, there's that report. It's like several pages. Tip information regarding blank and blank 101. Let's see. Okay, this one's not redacted. Tip information regarding Joe Mott and David Kruger. I know that the Motts are of interest to Sherry Lynn Pontillo. She did a lot of outside work about that family of the Motts. I don't know about Kruger. I can't remember if she did any work on that one or not. Anyway, moving on. 102, examination of the crushed vehicle. It gives a license plate, Alfred Munchin Company. Huh. I don't remember this one. There's a bunch of interviewed people here. There's the vehicle. Oh, 1989 Pontiac Grand Am Blue. I don't know if that's Avery's or not. Looks like Heimerl has gone through and listened to all these different phone calls that he did. I wonder if those were recorded. Alfred Munchin Company gives some kind of receipt. It looks like maybe where they've taken vehicles that they've crushed from the Avery property. Without reading the report, that's what I'm going to guess. This is metal.
They checked all the neighbouring salvage yards and places that collect scrap metal, right?
Yeah.
Because the idea is that if Stephen Avery was going to crush the Toyota RAV4, exactly what was he going to do with the crushed vehicle? He had to get rid of it, right?
Yep. You're not going to set it on fire like we've talked about. 2 gallons of kerosene and a road flare, and it's gone.
Correct. But it's interesting that these guys were forward thinking, right? They were already asked all these scrap metal companies, well, have you received any scrap metal from the Avery salvage yard? So
Right.
interesting.
Yep. And this receipt's got Chris Avery's name on it, and the date was 11/3. So yeah, they're definitely checking out what all scrap that they. I mean, I'm sure that they probably, depending on what the scrapyard would take, how much they were interested in, they used various ones, and they would load up, get a flatbed tractor trailer, whatever, or maybe even use the one at the salvage yard. I don't know, to deliver these scrap cars crushed. And then there's another receipt, some kind of receipt, and so forth. Amazing that they can take an extremely, I've brought this up before, this extremely clear photo of a VIN number of the scrap car. Right?
And it's in focus.
Yeah. Complete focus. I mean, this car is like smashed all. I mean, it looks like it's wrecked. They haven't crushed it yet, but it's been wrecked all to hell. Looks like it hit the side of a tractor trailer or something, that hit that hood all crunched up like that. Or I mean the top. Like I said, some of these photos were attached, and we've never seen these before. I've got to get these.
And remember, when the officers went through the Avery salvage yard, they took apart all the crushed vehicles. They opened them up with the jaws of life. So there was no potential of disguising a crushed RAV4, right?
Yeah, they had, what was it, Doc? 3 different fire departments for the jaws of life up there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. They had the fire brigade up there, and they took all the cars apart.
Yep. Found nothing.
No. And remember, Brutus had checked that area previously. No alerts.
That's right.
Including the crusher.
Yep. So this is a grand dam that has been, well, I won't say it's been crushed. I guess it's been, maybe it has. I don't know if whatever, it's smashed all to hell. Anyways, we've got multiple photos from that one attached, but many others you'll see they didn't. Re-interview of, this is 103. Close this. Let me see if we have 103. We do. Re-interview of Josh Redant. Let me blow that up a little bit. Why would they block his name out? I don't understand why they would redact, because he's prevalent. They had multiple phone calls with the guy. He's heavily involved in multiple different reports. Why would they feel the need to redact his name in this release for 2024? Other than
Redant.
Redant, yeah, this is the original port we had. This is the 2024 version.
Interesting. Yeah, because he was well, unless they were trying to had the making a murderer was the bad guy by not keeping people's identities. You know what I mean? Like, we're much more discreet than them.
Well, they did say in the letter, I don't know if you read the letter that was attached to these new DCI reports. Did you read it?
The one about the balancing test.
Yes, and they really took, one of the sections of the Open Records Law, 1932 to 1938 or whatever the hell it is. They took one of these to the extreme in redacting. Again, date of birth, I get it. Addresses, phone numbers, I get it. I get that too. But to just blank out somebody's name that's part of the case, part of the investigation, especially Redant, he was way
Well,
in the investigation, right?
so whenever they, for me, whenever I see them go to the extreme, it makes me think that there's a name in there they're trying to hide, but they're using an excuse to do it in hiding everyone's or a whole wealth of names, right?
Yeah, you're
So
correct. It's a blanket cover.
yeah. So who is hidden that they don't want to be found? Because we know Redant is Redant, but who is it they're trying not to make it easy to figure out? That's what I want to know. So what would be interesting would be once your helper, that would be me, and you are able to get these reports separated and uploaded, if we did a list of how many of them are redacted, and then try and determine at like what names, like who is it they're trying, like which one is the odd man out, because we know Redant's Redant, for example. So which one do we not know?
Yeah.
Did that make any sense? It made a lot of sense in my head, but it may not have came out well.
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying, but again, for someone like Redant, I mean, he's sworn an affidavit. He's been interviewed multiple times. That's already been released, that we've already have, with his name clearly there. But he was a heavy part of the investigation, and they were on his property multiple days. It's not like it was just like they talked to a lot of his employees. It's just that it makes no sense anyway. So we do have that one that's unredacted. This was we went back to him on the 16th. And remember, guys, by 1:30 on the afternoon of November 5th, they were already on the Redant property by 1:30. So I don't know if that was because, Teresa's 5 friends that were caught on the property said, "Oh, well, we came over through the Redant property." I don't know that. I don't know why they went to the Redant property, period. Teresa had no business there at all.
No, but remember, there were the dog tracks.
That's true.
They brought out the cadaver dogs, right, on the 5th. And the cadaver dogs were all over the place. In actual fact, they Fassbender and Wiegert confronted Stephen on November the 9th and told him exactly how the RAV4 came into the property.
Across the field.
Across the field and from the back way through the deer camp and to Stephen's property, right? So they must have been getting intel, thinking, why are the dogs over here? Why are they hitting over here, right? So it goes to show that we don't have a complete picture of their working notes, what they were trying to sort out and work out. Because if you notice, in the trial itself, there's actually very little information about the dogs, minimal.
Right.
And Sarah Fausk does not appear with
Yeah.
Loof. And Loof is trained to detect live scent.
Yep.
Right? You don't see Sarah Fausk
No.
being called up.
Yeah, it's also surprising that they didn't already have a live scent dog doing this track from, well, at least the 6th, because I know the cadaver dogs arrived first on the Avery property.
Yes,
So
they did.
caught, that whole arrangement that they had called and offered their service, and then it was Shutter. I think it was Shutter that called back and said, "Hey, have these people come on," but they, just because of the quick turnaround time, they didn't. The cadaver dogs got there first, and then the license got there at some point after that. But
Yes.
I know that the license dog or the cadaver dogs were held up for a period of time. Remember, they hit the roadblock and they couldn't get in for a minute, and then they finally let them in.
Yeah, they were there on the 5th, and I think it was on the 6th. There were like 16 dog handlers. They were everywhere.
Oh, I thought it was 19, if I remember
There,
right.
I think there could have been. I think you could be right. There was a huge number of dog handlers there.
Yeah.
Remember, it was Sergeant Jason Jost, who was in the Redon's property and also in the Manitowoc County gravel pit with cadaver dogs. Remember
Cadaver
how we
dogs.
found the reports?
That's right.
The sheriff's reports? He was there.
That
with
was on
cadaver.
the 7th. That was on
Yep.
the 7th.
Yeah, and also on the 10th as well, where
Yep.
they brought Brutus. They put him on an ATV. They carried him there on an ATV.
Yep.
To the Manitowoc County gravel pit. That's amazing. They transported a dog.
And they were
on a
at
vehicle.
Mickles Materials on the
Yeah,
morning of the 6th. So what
that-
the hell are
that
they
is-
doing? What the hell are they doing over there?
Yep. And then you got Travis Crowell, who smelt the odor, right, on the evening of the 31st.
Actually, maybe I've just forgotten. But what led them to Mickles Materials? Do we know for sure? What led them over
There
there?
were dog hits. There were dog hits there. But I don't.
Well,
But what you're saying is what made them look in the first place.
Yeah, that's right. What led them over there? And I remember thinking, well, why would they be across the road? Did a dog track over there?
Well, there were a group of canines that hit in Mickles Quarry, and remember, Duke found I think there was also the phone call in which heavy equipment went to Mickles Quarry. The guy with the back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep,
That's right.
And then Erdl ended up there doing the sifting. He had to dig 6 feet because they found that material there, the blood and the tissue that Cohane said, not human. And you're thinking, what the hell? How'd you work that one out?
That's right. Because it was 3 cadaver dogs that went ape shit at that site.
3 independent cadaver dogs alerted in Mickles Quarry. 3. And they're trained to detect human decomposition, not animal.
And we don't know where that tarp is from Mickles Materials, if I'm remembering what Duke said.
Yeah, and they found all this sort of like wooden pieces and rocks and stuff like that, but they found tissue and blood.
And blood.
Right? And Cohane said, not human, but didn't actually indicate how she determined it was not human.
Right, because there's antibodies that she can use, right?
That's correct. And that's what they used in the Christine Rudy case. They use the binding of antibodies. So they take a whole group of human antibodies, animal antibodies, apply to the slide, determine the ratio of binding, right? So that's how they determined that was what was in the burn pit for the Christine Rudy case was not human, but animal in origin, which Eisenberg got wrong.
Completely wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, she hosted
so
that one.
It's truly bizarre, right? And the argument could be, well, you've got animal predation, right? A bit of tissue could have been picked up by an animal and transported from one spot to another, right? And if that happened to be part of Teresa Hallbach, what the hell?
That's right.
Yep.
Exactly
what
right.
The hell?
Yeah. So we have at least 2 other, well, actually 3 if you think about the Redont pit. We've got 3 other locations where bone material, blood or whatever has been found that's not on the Avery property. That's a real problem for me.
Yeah, and plus, I know I'm not allowed to say it, but Cuss Road, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What the hell is that Cuss Road?
So 4 of the locations, if we're
and there could well be more.
There could be. Again, that goes into what don't we know yet.
Yeah, well, remember the call about the guy with the geolocation?
That's right.
A whole lot of blood, and then
all over that tree.
And then close there was the missing poster of Teresa Hallbach.
That's right.
What the hell?
Yep.
Yep.
It's basically out in the middle of the boonies, out in the rural county area. Yeah, I agree. And
Crazy.
just going back to this re-interview for Don, I wonder if this is where they went back to him and said, "Hey, we think you need to restate or kind of push him a different direction." I think this may have been the one, because he said they came back to him in his affidavit. So anyway, let's move on. This one's on the 7th. A receipt of CD interviews of Brendan Dassey and Stephen Avery. So this is the day after Brendan was interviewed in Crivets.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I knew.
yeah. This is where they got the CD from Marinette County of the interview. Boy, they got that shit ready in a hurry. Interview or contact with intimate treasurers. Okay, that's where they go and talk to the clerk there, get the receipt. Another interview with Carla Avery on the 14th. Couple of pages. Contact with Charles and Earl Avery on the 15th. Let's see what we got here. I don't see anything outstanding in that one. And I think we actually probably have this one. That was 107. I'll just look here. I don't think there's any surprises there. Got this one that we didn't have. I'll read it later. Nope, we didn't have 107, or I didn't have it. I think I've got everything that's out there. I don't show it in my inventory, so maybe I'll go back and read that one. Okay, anyway, moving on. Interview of Blaine on the 15th, also 108. We've got that one. So I don't think there's any surprises there. This is Skorlinski and Wendy Baldwin. This is when they met at that Cedar Ridge restaurant. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when Blaine starts talking about the fact that he saw a smoking burn barrel.
Yeah. Yeah. 109 interview. We have that one. It's an interview of, looky there. This is the interview of Tammy, of Winch. There you go. No, this is Weber. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's Weber.
I'm thinking of Coleman.
No, Carmen, they blanked her name out.
They did.
They redacted her name.
And they redacted Tammy Weber's name from the new report as well. See if there's anything of interest there in the subject. I don't see anything. We'll talk about a full-page report. Telephone contact with, this is 110, telephone contact with Heather McCherney. This is on the 16th. 10. Yeah, we've got this one. I don't think there's anything of blazing interest here. 111. I don't have that one. So I don't know who this is. This interview was done by Strauss and Lisa Wilson. Well, a lot of things with Strauss were really shoved under the radar. Looks like person interviewed, like, what is it?
Considering she volunteered.
Yeah. Whoever this person is they obviously redacted. Supposed to redacted Blaine's name, and of course they've left it open. 15th at 8:48 a.m. I interviewed this person. I have no idea. I'm not going to try to read anything into that. 112 and a telephone interview of someone. 112. Don't have that one either. 111 and 112 I don't have. 113 interview. I've got 113. Martinez. Isn't that interesting? Why they would redact his name? I'm not sure why they would.
What's it got to say?
Well, we've got the report. We've had it.
Mhm.
We've had this one, so there shouldn't be anything new there, other than they've redacted a bunch of stuff. So I'm not going to read it. Another interview of truck drivers on the 11th. The report date's the 16th. He gives their names. I know I've read through these before. That's strange. The following individuals, drivers, were indexed and were interviewed at the Verdant Pit on November 11th regarding the Halbach investigation and did not have anything to add. So they've listed their names and no report. That's it. That's it. That's it. This is all there is. Wow.
Yep.
That's interesting. Okay, 115 I do have. Interview of Travis Groel. They blanked his name out. There you go. They blanked it out. But it is ridiculous because he did have something kind of weird to add about the odd odor he detected on the 31st. 116 receipt of documents from the Redant. I know they had him turn over the clock in and out sheets, I guess, of the guys that work there, folks that work there. Yeah, see, here we go. Boy driving truck.
There's Gregory Phillips.
Yeah. That's right. I guess several of these. I'm gonna have to scroll because it got too wide there. Several of them. I remember this was a multi-page attachment. And I think this gives their hours. I don't know what all that is. But I do think it's hours and, et cetera, et cetera. The trucker's got ticket's got a ticket number over there on the left side. Another report, more tickets, basically the same thing. Same thing. Now, as far as I know, we this is new. We didn't have any of this. Is that correct, Doc? I don't remember seeing it before.
I have not seen this before.
Yeah, this is all new. But you can see the dates there. They're all around the time frame of the 31st.
Now, whose phone record is this?
Not phone records. It's business records of.
The Redants.
Redant. Yeah, it's business records.
Interesting.
Yeah, I remember it was a multi-page report. Okay, moving on to 117. This is records examination of the. Okay, this is Strauss. This is where she went apeshit after they found out that Avery actually had a gun license. She really went through the ringer on this one. She contacted all kinds of people, and we've got at least part of this, or we've had it for quite some time. I know that I was shocked when I found out he actually had a gun license assigned to him. So him getting arrested on possession of a firearm, it raises questions. They're saying he got it through illicit means, but whatever. Facts. This is the actual customer update. Stephen Avery. I think this is a several page report. I think you got facts tree. You see the facts facts information up top. We're not going to mess with all that. Anyway, we've had that. I just know I was shocked when I remember reading through that originally. I was like, holy crap, he actually had a gun license. So why are they arresting him? Anyway, 118, record examination from Mill. I think this is also the hunting issuance of hunting license, Stephen Avery. Yep. See, this one's also attached to Deb Strauss. And I think she made telephone contact, got faxes and so forth. Yep. See, here we go. Copy of the signature, required registration, yada, yada, yada. And this is where the receipt, we paid for it. A telephone interview. This is 119. Don't know if we have it. But hey, well, no, I'll just check. We do have 119. So who's this telephone interview? Jack Ells. Don't know who that is. Does not ring any bells at all. So we've had this one, so it doesn't raise any questions. So let's move on. This was a start event interview. Very short interview as well. 120 interview of. We've got that one too. Charles and Laura Phillips. Okay. That means nothing to me. I'm going to guess, well, it's just a guess, probably someone that bought something from the Avery property. Their name was in the ledger. I'm just going to make an assumption here. 121, another interview that's been redacted. And see, it's so, we've got these. James Kennedy. We know who that is, Doc.
Oh, yeah, we sure do.
Yeah. So we know he had business there with Avery property on the 31st. Interview of Gordon Kudik. And I don't know why his name isn't redacted because they redacted so many others. Mishcot Auto Sales is mentioned. So maybe this guy works there. Moving on, 123 telephone interview. 123 telephone interview of Diane. I blow that up. I can't see it. Bruction. No idea. Doesn't ring any bells whatsoever. 124. Another interview. Terry Sobel. Doesn't ring any bells. Let me close these out here. I'm going to move on. Interview of Rick Royer. Again, someone that does not ring any bells whatsoever. I'm going to guess he's the owner operator of the tune-up shop. So maybe he's probably had contact with Avery salvage art of some kind. Advisor over that during a search of the office Avery. Yeah, see, you notice the receipt bearing his name. This is where they got a lot of these people's names out of, ledger or whatever. They found a receipt that some of these people had done business of some kind with the Averys. It's strange, again, this goes directly, a real credit to what Doc said. This has been several months ago. All these people that just had a singular, basically innocent contact with the Averys, these people went out and interviewed them in one fashion or another, by telephone or in person. So Winsky calls in, says, hey, I saw something, and they don't interview the guy. What the hell is that? Somebody please explain that to me. Any comments, guys? No?
Well, are you trying to tell me that this guy was on the Avery salvage yard?
Yeah, he had some kind of business with them. He bought something or whatever, and that's
Yeah.
it. And they call him up and interview him.
Did he actually come on the salvage yard on the 31st?
It says Sturtevant had noticed the receipt bearing the name of the tune-up shop on 10/31/2005 regarding a 1991 Dodge, and Sturtevant was interested in the details surrounding that transaction. So yeah, he was there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, right.
So it couldn't have been him that was driving the mid-size green SUV that drove past John LeCun, because this guy picked up a Dodge vehicle.
Well, yeah, but also the fact that Sowinski calls Manitowoc and gets a hold of Sergeant Segla,
And they don't talk to him.
and they don't talk to him. And he delivers papers basically every day. I guess that paper runs every day. And they're not, and he sees something strange, and they don't want to talk to him.
Who did he call? Manitowoc or Calumet?
Manitowoc.
That's why they didn't talk to him.
I mean, we've got the call. We've got part of the call.
But Manitowoc would have had to relay that he called outside of Manitowoc for anyone else to know about it.
Well, what makes it worse, Sunshine, is that Segla was at the property when the call was connected. He was out there at the command. I'm guessing the command post. And he doesn't go into the tent and say, "Hey guys, I've got this guy on the phone. He says that he's on the property, and he sees something really strange going on with this raft. A couple of guys pushing this thing. Someone probably needs to go talk to him." How's that another conversation? I don't understand.
Well, we got to think about, there's that one radio transmission or call where the Manitowoc guy comes on and takes over the watch, right? That weird transfer of the scene little snippet we have. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's on the recording. I don't know the actual date. I think it's either overnight from the 5th to the 6th on the first day or the second day. It's a very brief snippet where the guy who was babysitting actually called in and said, "Hey, this guy's saying he's going to take over." And then we have all those copy on code calls that Manitowoc did. So if Manitowoc didn't want them to know that there was someone that saw something nefarious, if they were trying to keep it in-house, DCI may not have been tipped off that
Sowinski called. They might not have.
Until a couple of days later, whenever they asked the neighbor about the newspaper delivery. Interview?
I don't remember. I know that I think they asked several of these folks about newspaper delivery. At least a few.
So they knew somebody had let them know. So they were making sure to insert a what's the word I'm looking for? They were making sure to have a semblance of an investigation done about timing in the evening. So if it ever did get brought up, but as far as making it obvious that it existed, and to me, that's Brady. that's evidence of Brady. You're intentionally not checking into a witness that called in, but yet you're making sure to have a foundation laid to dismiss his account if it ever came out.
Well, that's the thing. Singlub didn't report because I FOIA'd his personnel file and every report that he filed in the Avery case. I requested everything. Now, of course, that took a little time, but he basically didn't report anything about this call, at least not officially. There may be some non-public report that they didn't release to me. But they told me basically there wasn't anything. I've still got it. If you want to take a look at it, if you hadn't looked at it before, I've had it for quite some time. Why this wouldn't be mentioned? I really think that a good portion of these various officers that were involved were just going about doing their job and not understanding that a few weren't independently. That's my feeling, my thought. That's just an opinion. And I don't ask anyone to believe what I believe, but I think a lot of these people, they were saying, look, this guy did it. We've just got to find the evidence.
Mm-hmm. Or
that's a powerful statement from your superiors.
Oh yeah. Or they're like everybody else where they're not even worried about whether he did it or not, and they've got all this other stuff on their plate, so they're not thinking beyond the assigned task, right? Which is, watch this area, search this area, interview this witness, whatever. So they're not putting any energy into actually thinking about all the other things that are going on like we are.
Well,
a lot of people are consumed by mortgages and child support and getting their kids to soccer and their girlfriend's ex-boyfriend, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so they don't have the mental energy to allocate to actually thinking about how ludicrous this scenario is. They would prefer just to clock in, do their job, clock out, go home, and deal with that life.
Well, the truth is that police officers and investigators are people just like the rest of us. They have car payments, they got mortgages, they have insurance, they have children that they got to get braces, both of them at the same time. So they get faced with all these outside life forces that is a pull on them, but they're human just like the rest of us. But again, I think a lot of these officers were just doing their job. As like Christina said, they've got, other things going on in their life, but again, for me, you get the lead detectives, investigators, whatever, they pass on, or they have a group of people or a group of these officers and say, look, we know this guy did it. Now we just got to find the evidence. That's an open-ended thing. I'm not saying that that's exactly what happened, but I can see it happening. And
there's that subset. Yeah, that subset as well. There's the subset that actively participated in making the case by hook or by crook. There's the subset. Did your job. Yep, there's a subset that just put their nose down and did what, we're just clocking in and clocking out.
That's right.
And then there's a subset that are probably just lazy cops who, miss 99% of what's going on in the world because
and took the overtime.
Yeah, they're getting ready to retire. One thing I noticed from watching this YSL case is, I would think that Atlanta would have a higher caliber officer, investigator, and district attorney.
No.
But I'm realizing no, not even the the DAs aren't really brilliant.
No.
Like, I'm beginning to think that we've been sold a line of malarkey about district attorneys being very smart. Now, I'm not saying there aren't very smart district attorneys.
there's some
but
great ones out there. There's
I
some really
think
good
the
ones.
highly intelligent ones are snatched and sent to the Capitol to keep people in prison. And the
Well, I
ones
mean,
you see on TV are, doing these trials are probably mid-level at best.
I look at this, this is just one, but I know there's more out there. I look at the Outcry documentary. It's 5-part. I don't know if you've seen that or not, Christina, about that Texas football star kid that got accused of essaying 2 kids to really.
Yes.
That district attorney was hard. You could tell he had a hard nose about him, but he was willing to listen. He was willing to see the full picture and not just say, we got him, lock him up, as a lot of district. So there is that group out there that are willing to really do their job, seek the truth, the full truth. Anyway, but along with everything that we were talking about, these various groups of officers, and then we get here in the last couple of weeks, we got this whole bombshell about Remaker, and it is, to me, it's a bombshell. With everything that's happened in Manitowoc since the release of MAM and all the things that have come out, good, bad, or indifferent, you know that this is a huge facepalm. And as to what you guys talked about originally, why wasn't this handled in an internal matter first? And basically kept off the public airways.
Or considering all the negative publicity directed towards the MTSO and the way the Avery investigation was conducted, that's the last thing you want out.
That's right.
An investigation on one of the officers, an MTSO officer who was very much involved in the obtaining and processing and documenting of the forensic evidence in the murder case,
and in control of it.
Yeah, and in control of the forensic evidence, because he was the evidence custodian.
That's right.
And if he's as sloppy as he was with the handling of money, was he also sloppy with the handling of forensic evidence?
Well,
Right?
that's why I said a few minutes ago, have they really done a complete audit of their evidence room?
Yeah.
I can just see I see a nightmare right there. I don't know if they will, but I think they should. And basically start into that one unit first, that task force, because they've clearly got a major problem right there, a major one. I don't think we'll ever truly know how much is missing. I don't, but we'll see.
Just for the record, that gentleman that we talked about, the previous DCI report, Earl went to go and pick up the Dodge wreck from his residence, his shop, and brought it back.
Okay. Well, there you go. So again, it points out that basically just a business transaction. They contact this guy, talk to him, but they don't contact Sowinski, and he's basically on the Avery property and in that area every day, delivering the paper. And they don't. And he's called in and says, "Hey, I saw a couple of guys pushing." And it could be Santa Claus and Uncle Buck pushing this RAV down Avery Road, and they don't go interview him. I'm telling you, that doesn't work for me.
And I think Sunshine Christina pointed it out that they did do a canvass, and they did, one of the people that they canvassed talked about the mail delivery. So they knew about the mail being delivered. And it's really interesting that they didn't go back and talk to Sawinski.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. All right, we're pushing almost 2.5 hours. Let's go. Let's do a few more, and then we're going to call it good. I mean, a lot of these are, they're basically there were neighborhood canvas that were basically nothing. So you guys are certainly welcome to read them. Some of them we already had, some of them we don't. So anyway, this is a report correction from McGrath. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. This is 126. Upon reviewing report, this is DCI report number 2, interview of Angela Schuster from 11/6. McGrath
That's
discovered
the Auto Trader lady, isn't it?
that's right. Discovered an error in noting a date listed for one of Stephen Avery's appointments with the Auto Trader magazine. After reviewing the documents from the Auto Trader magazine, McGrath attempted to make a chronological listing of appointments made by Stephen Avery. It should be noted that in the second to last paragraph of the narrative section, Stephen Avery's second appointment was on August 22nd, 2005, not October 22nd, as previously documented. Okay.
So when was
You
the
know,
last time she was there prior to Halloween?
the 10th, wasn't it, Doc?
Of October?
I think
Can
so.
you repeat that one again, Jack?
The last time that Teresa was on the Avery property prior to Halloween, wasn't it October 10th?
I'll have to check, but she was there. I've got the. I have to go check the dates, but she was there multiple times,
Yeah.
photographing the vehicles, and I have to check the official document when she was there last.
I'm thinking it was October 10th, but that could be wrong.
You know, it's interesting. He didn't really have a good, they tried to make him out to be like, a perv and all of that, but he really didn't have a great memory of her appearance.
Steven's memory. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but he does not have a good memory. He just doesn't. Many of them don't. Many people don't.
No, they don't. They don't. I did not realize that, just how many people don't have great recall of events beyond, like the
very close time frame.
tangible. Yeah.
That's right. A lot of people don't. They just, again, unless something's nailed down and documented, and you go out, a week or 2 weeks, people forget. They get shit mixed up. I've done it, and I used to have actually pretty good memory. Anyway, this next one was redacted on 27, but we do have this one, and it's a lady named Jennifer J. Johnsrud. Is that supposed to be John? That's an odd last name, Johnsrud. I never heard of that. Anyway, that interview was on the 15th of November. I'm gonna guess that this is a located business receipt. Yeah, that's what a lot of these are. Same thing as the last one. It's a business receipt of some kind. That she had done business with a salvage yard. Telephone interview. This is on the stepping back a day on the 14th. This is 128. And this is with Randall Klein. It doesn't ring any bells either. I'm going to guess is another one that has had business of some kind. We'll scroll down here. Yep, business receipt. There it is in the second paragraph. Located, dated 11/4. The Avery salvage yard. So another one, same thing. Interview of Thomas Pekarsky. I don't know. Okay, he's got an auto business, so there's probably some kind of business relationship there of some kind. 1:30, and we're probably gonna, let's call this one the last one. 1:30, interview of blank, and we have that one as well. Blow it up here a little bit. It's a little small. Judith Knutson. That name is a more prevalent name in that area.
It is.
Yeah, it's a more regional name. Further explain. Sort of located a document with, I'm guessing, her name dated 11/4. Davey, okay, that's another business transaction. So, all right, we're gonna call it good. We'll start with 131 for next time because we've been here 2.5 hours. That's some really great discussion about these, and of course about Remaker. I'm curious to see where that will fall out. Personally, close this here. Okay, so give me the option to close it. Okay, I'll just leave it open for now. Anyway, let me get this off screen. So, as you've seen, as many have seen through a lot of these, and there's going to be more. I don't know how far this goes. I think there's going to be. This probably goes into probably another 10, maybe 20 reports. I don't remember exactly, of this neighborhood canvas that they did that were basically nothing. But they did talk to him. Again, this points out the fact that they talked to all these people, but they didn't talk to Sawinski. And I find a real problem here. Did he? I don't want to speculate too far down the road, but did he go in to the tent and say, "Look, guys, we got a call here, and there's something weird going on. This guy's saying what I said before, and they made a decision to not talk to him." I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys.
Yeah. It makes his story more believable, doesn't it?
Well, it does. It does. I don't know. I just have real problems with it. Maybe I'm alone in that thought.
And it's interesting. So here's some interesting things. It's interesting that Sawinski called into Manitowoc. It's interesting that this dump happened. It's interesting that Remaker has been outed. And it's interesting that Sawinski is very prevalent in this appeal. Now, is there a correlation between them? I don't know. It's also interesting Remaker got on his hands and knees.
Oh yeah, begged Hardwick. Oh yeah. Let me just
and also that he put the two $100 bills on the guy's desk, and he said it's only $8 that's missing. Oops.
Well, Hardwick leaves the office for a minute to go do something. He comes back. Remaker's gone. There's $200 laying there.
Yeah.
Are you bribing me, Remaker? I mean, come on, man.
Not a good look.
Well, if he didn't take the money, why would he lay $200 there?
You know what would be interesting? This is completely hypothetical. What if Sawinski didn't see Bobby Dassey? What if Sawinski saw Dave Remaker?
Oh my God. that would be
you conspiracy theorist, you sunshine.
That would be
tinfoil
crazy.
hat wearing. Proud of it.
Before
Now
we get out
that
here,
would be a humdinger, wouldn't it?
would.
That would make all the little boxes, or that would make all of this make a little more sense.
be
You know,
crazy.
now who's the second guy? That, because it definitely ain't Santa Claus.
No.
So, and it's definitely not Bobby Dassey. So who did he see? Let's play this hypothetical out. If he saw Remaker, who's the second guy? Who are we going with?
I don't know.
Has to be someone with a beard.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is
the man with a beard.
Hypothetical. So who are you gonna go with, Jax? People in chat, who would you go with? Who would Remaker be pushing a ride with?
Well, to me, it's going to have to be an older gentleman that he trusts. That's, potentially a fellow police officer from Manitowoc, MTSO, or the county or the city.
Bushman, one of the Bushmans. One of the Bushmans, or
I was gonna say Bushman because he's older. I don't know if he had a beard or not, but
which one came back from
Mike
Bushman.
Mike
Bushman.
He was a reserve officer.
Correct.
Pretty much retired, but he still helped out with overflow parking, just simple stuff.
Pushing your drives.
And he just happened to be a canine dog handler.
He was.
Yeah.
I wondered if he had his dog that day on the 7th too, Doc.
It makes perfect sense.
It does.
Makes perfect sense.
Anyway, while everybody's pondering Christina's hypothetical, we got a few questions that we can go through and then get out of here. Is that okay, everybody?
Yep.
Christina, can you read these out as I put them up?
Yep. So this is from Nan's Life. Hi, Nan's Life. Why do you think there were narcotics investigators in Teresa's murder investigation? Were they that short on proper investigators, or were they covering up for the real crime? That's a good question. It's a very good question, actually.
Well, I'm going to pop in and I'll let you guys talk. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, if you go through these DCI reports and notice the vast number of different officers. I'm not talking about, that's right, narcotics, arson, white-collar crime. That's right.
Yep.
And then all these other investigators from other, like Milwaukee, Dane County. Just read it. It's into the hundreds. And then you include the Wisconsin State Troopers that were also involved. Anyway, you guys can talk.
I was going to make the comment. It's interesting that despite bringing in cadaver dogs that checked the entire Avery salvage yard, they opened up all the hoods and bonnets of every vehicle. And I have a feeling they were looking for potential contraband, maybe like drugs. Yep. Because, hey, these are police officers. They're all part of narcotics.
Sure.
And their suspicion will be salvage yard, middle of nowhere, potential drug transactions, right? There you go. Check for potential contraband.
And Manitowoc is in a direct line, and Christina knows this. We've talked about it. Is in a direct line directly north of where? Milwaukee, and goes right on to Green Bay.
And the auto trader photographer position was filled prior to Teresa by what they are labeling an ex-DCI investigator who decided to be a stay-at-home mom. Also, what is a great undercover role to have to get onto the property of places?
That's right.
And be nosy. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Yep. So was Teresa moonlighting did she have additional You just don't know. In a case like this, you really don't know. You just don't.
You mean whether she had additional roles,
Yeah.
like keep an eye out on the Averys?
Or anything.
Mhm.
I mean, because like we really don't know who her clientele was. We just don't have a lot of information about her prior to August of that year. We don't know, like we know very little about a woman who was a media sensation, not only in 2005, but again in 2015 and again in 2018. We really don't know her at all. And that is highly unusual in a well-publicized case like this.
Not much victimology, at least not what we
No,
have anyway.
and normally in cases that are in the media for this long, people are talking way more than they have talked about Teresa.
Yeah.
And I find that curious because that's not a normal, you just don't see that.
I think some of these law enforcement officers said, hey, we need to keep this kind of quiet. Don't speak to the media. Be careful what you say, blah, blah, blah. I don't know.
Yeah, but we also know that people like to spill the beans, and there's
some
been
do.
none of that here.
No, not really. Kelly Putskin talked some. Her former lover boyfriend, Ryan, he told, well, he lied. He lied multiple times, as far as I'm concerned. That's my opinion about what he testified about getting into her computer. They just guessed the password. Come on. Even
And
in
also
2005.
what voicemails were deleted, right?
Well, that's right. That was another part of it that's still real sticky for us. We got some, but then several were deleted. And this delay of getting the actual voicemails and not immediately seizing upon getting her any text messages that may still exist in the ether and the whatever Big Jeff called it, the node or whatever, the ends of the network.
Yeah.
Before they disappeared out.
I mean, to me personally, it always bothered me why someone like Teresa, who obviously was a very successful photographer for weddings, for portraits, would be going around the country in Wisconsin at what, $20 a shot, $8 a shot, taking pictures of vehicles.
Unless it was a hustle. Unless it
was a hustle shot.
Yeah, well, and you're not making, you're spending just as much on gas as you're making.
Yep, on petrol. And it seems to me rather odd that she would be doing such a potentially risky adventure at her age, whereas I would have thought that her main focus would have been the professional photography side, where she could potentially earn a fortune doing portraits, weddings, stuff like that. And then remember her boss warned her about the dangers of being by herself in the country, and the fact that there were some people that were soliciting her to come inside, have a drink and stuff like that. Why would Teresa expose herself for such a piddly amount of money?
She wouldn't have.
And that's why what you said is very interesting. Did Teresa have potentially, in an opinion, an undercover role to keep an eye out on what was happening on the salvage yard?
A CI, a confidential informant that they won't
as a CI, as confidential informant, correct?
Yeah, and not just the salvage yard. I think it was. It's just, there's just no money in that. It would be the wear and tear on your vehicle, your time, the gas, the risk. There's just, it's like, who would do that? She was probably making $25-30 a day after you know, after
Taxes
gas
and
and
everything
That's
like
time.
expensive.
Yeah.
Insurance.
that.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
I'm
she
not
had a
sure.
bachelor's degree, if not a master's.
She had a bachelor's degree. I don't think she had a master's in photography, but she definitely had a bachelor's degree for sure.
Yep, and she had her own photography business, right? Shared the premises with I forgot his name, Pierce.
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 Yep, and it seems to me that if that's your main profession, what the hell are you doing this side hustle, photographing vehicles? It absolutely made no sense.
Well, she's in the process of opening up her own shop and
Yep,
getting out of the Pierce.
that's
He's
right.
renting her space. That's right. He's renting her space.
That's right.
Et
And
cetera.
wasn't there a rumor that was her meant to be her last day taking pictures? Photographs of cars.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. That's right.
Yeah. Interesting.
Very interesting.
And that might explain why Kratz threw in the towel and was really upset about the voicemails. Remember, in the trial, he got the jury out. He
Flash.
didn't want the disclosure. Yeah, he didn't want the disclosure of what was on those voicemails.
Hell
you wonder
no.
why. You wonder
He
why.
wanted that. He wanted that buried so far into the rug. I mean, he was deer in the headlights. Well, if they're going to say that, they're changing their blah blah blah. Yeah, that was a really interesting part of the trial. But for
Sure.
Dan's life, I think they just used everyone. I mean, there's so many different law enforcement officers involved. It's crazy how many were involved in this case. And I'm going to tell you, if you looked at the receipts that Jinx got of how much went out in overtime, it's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some of these people were raking it in. I mean, God almighty. Anyway, let's move on. Kelly McAlien, next question, Christina.
Kelly McAlien, did they find anything in the burn barrels that definitely belonged to Teresa? Y'all want to answer that?
Doc?
So with the burn barrels, there was Stevens burn barrel, where they found the burnt electronics. The FBI looked at it. But my understanding is they didn't find any of the serial numbers.
They did not.
They could not confirm that it would belong to Teresa. But when you think about it, the type of electronics that were found, it's very likely belonging to Teresa. So that was Stevens burn barrel on November the 7th by Siders.
Alone.
Then on November the 5th, Brutus had alerted vigorously at two of the burn barrels that belonged to Bob Yunder.
Yep.
And I'm not exactly sure when they were examined by Erdl, but eventually they found in one of the burn barrels, Yunder burn barrel number 2, they found human cut burnt remains. Now, the problem is they never tested a bone.
No.
So allegedly they belong to Teresa Orbach, but no bones are being tested.
So the answer is
implied.
no.
It's implied.
Yeah, the answer is no. They did not find anything that definitively linked to or was Teresa.
That's right.
Correct.
I mean, the Palm Pilot, those were readily available. Their Motorola Razor, those were readily available. So,
and what's curious about that is, didn't they find like the box? Like they even had the box.
Well, that's where they went to the Hallbox, and
Yes.
one of Mike, I think it was Mike Hallbox, that went and gave him the old phone and the box.
Right.
Yes.
So they were able to match what they should have found with a box. So they had the box, and then they had burnt electronics that were believed to be this type, yet there was no definitive corroboration that the electronics,
no serial numbers,
the electronics were the electronics that were sold to Teresa and also in her possession that day. So
Yeah,
no.
she used her Palm Pilot pretty extensively. She used her phone, we know, very extensively.
Mhm.
So, yeah, but nothing. It's circumstantial. So
It's
nothing.
words
It
and
is.
pictures.
That's right. All right. Next question from Three Ravs. Christina?
Hi, Three Ravs. Duke Juke implied that item BZ may still exist, correct?
That's right.
Well, when they sifted through the bones in 2011, I think it was, they didn't mention item BZ. They
Nope.
talked about bones. Item BZ is a collection of bone fragments and desiccated muscle tissue.
That's right.
So potentially, there's desiccated muscle tissue still in the crime lab in the freezer. And if that's the case, it'll make a perfect candidate to do extensive DNA analysis with the new techniques and get a full DNA profile from item BZ. Correct.
Right. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Next question is from Danny Brusham. Christina?
There was that junk phone that was found by a road or something. Do we know make or model of that? And then that box, was it pictured?
That was found by Campion and also
and-
by Sturm
And Sturm.
and photographed by Colburn.
Colburn.
That's right.
By Colburn, and it was, forgot the actual
Audio box.
it's
Audio
an audio
box.
box, but the spot where they found it led to the turnaround.
Yes.
It's close to the turnaround where the RAV4 was
147.
found. Yeah, on Highway 147.
That's right.
Where that phone is,
They lost it. It
I have
disappeared.
no
out.
idea. No idea. And it was a good, nice looking phone too, right? That's an
flip phone.
expensive phone.
Flip phone. Yep.
Yep, flip phone, and no one has come forward, as far as I'm aware, to say they've lost it. And phones like that tend to be burner phones, right? Where you buy a SIM card, you buy a plan, and use it for private purposes.
Yes.
No one knows where it is now.
No.
But we got photographs of it. It's an audio box.
Big Jeff
And
did a. I'm sorry, Doc.
I was going to say Big Jeff did a deep dive into that phone.
He did. He found some mistakes.
They made
they
mistakes. They made mistakes
They
in the
did.
serial number and everything.
That's right.
Yep. Correct.
Alrighty. But there was no box associated with it, just the phone.
I think it was just a phone found on the ditch.
Yes. Yep. All right. Other question, Christina?
From Danny Brewer again. Did law enforcement force all the Averys off of their property, or did they decide to go up to Crivets on their own?
Oh, they forced them off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no one was allowed to stay. A
No.
lot of the family members were at Crivets, but not everybody was there, right? And Bobby Dassey had to get permission to get his dog, his black Labrador dog.
Yeah.
Barb and everyone was saying, "We've got to feed the animals. Well, we've got to get close to my kids." Right? Yeah, correct.
I should restate what I said, Danny. They were at Crivets, but they were not allowed to come back.
They're not allowed to come back. Correct.
Yeah.
They actually, Stephen wanted to come back on November the 8th, and they stopped them at the roadblock. They allowed his sister to come back and I think feed the animals, but they didn't allow Stephen to come back on. And everybody who came back on the salvage yard was supervised. There was an officer right with them. Yep.
There you go. And our last thing I'm going to highlight. Look at there, 32 months, Sunshine Christine.
Whoa, fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. I was like, wow, 2.5 years.
Yep. Yep, that's right.
I
So
think-
anyway,
Yeah, I think I got my membership within the first couple months that we were able, like when they first came out. I
Yep.
feel like it wasn't very long after that.
yeah,
So
I
that's
got
kind
mine.
of cool.
I got mine pretty much right away as well. So anyway, another photo from Rent, one that's one of the newer ones that we've never seen. I apologize to anyone that asked a question that I missed. I tried to catch them as we were going through the DCI reports, but sometimes I miss them, and all I can do is apologize. So anyway, any final comments, Doc, before we get out of here?
No, I really enjoyed the podcast, and there's a lot of stuff there. I think to go back and look at it again and read again. But I must admit, it's very frustrating that they redacted a lot of the stuff. Like if you're new to this case now, you got no idea. You got no idea where to go. Yeah,
Yep.
which is a real tragedy. And I'm so glad that we've had unredacted documents for years. Otherwise, doing our research and podcasts will be very hard to do now.
Yes,
Yep.
I agree. It's frustrating too to add to that as I showed you guys, many of the reports that we got, we have the header page and no report, and many we have the report and no header page.
Yep.
Why would they release something? Anyway, I'm not going to get off into that. Anyway, all right, Doc. Thank you very much, and all the great commentary and conversation. Really appreciate it. And Sunshine Christina, any final thoughts before we get out of here? If you're talking, you're muted.
Just
Hey,
this is the case that keeps on giving. You know,
no doubt.
What's done in the dark will come to the light. That's all I can say. And I just feel like I'm just glad I'm here for it, because, you know, I just think of how adamant and how determined the guilters were to run off anyone trying to seek the truth in this case.
Oh, on Reddit, it's horrible.
Oh yeah, and Twitter, and I mean Facebook. Some of the Facebook chats, and they, you know, the Boston Brett. Do y'all remember him?
Oh my God! I ran into him. I ran into him.
Yeah,
It wasn't good.
New York John.
Yeah, New York John. And I'm just curious, Han Solo or whatever his name was.
That's right. Solo and the Wookiee.
Solo and the Wookiee. And I'm wondering what their thoughts are right now, or like if they even care, you know.
Oh, well, you know, a lot of these folks that have stayed around for so long that have basically tried to block information from us, you know, communicating. That was the big thing on Reddit. You know, these people that said they hate Making a Murderer had to become a mod in the Making a Murderer sub, and it was to control the flow of information.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that's one of the reasons that TikTok Manitowoc was ever created, because we couldn't even have a conversation with them jumping in and, you know, going after people and calling them names, and it just was ridiculous.
I think that was before people realized just how we were still trying to get a grasp on how social media was a tool that would be used to control the flow of information, right? Yep. And so this was an opening for us to understand that, yes, that indeed happens. And we also had a front row seat to how they did it, because they really did. They came in and took over the Making a Murderer sub and tried to shut it down.
Oh, they tried to shut TikTok Manitowoc down multiple times.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they got me banned off of Reddit for something lame.
They caught me banned off something Reddit, which I still don't know why. I had to create another. I had to create another profile. They didn't say I couldn't come back. It's just that my original profile got banned. It's
like, me too.
Really?
Me too. Yeah. And if they have that, if they're that active in trying to stop the flow of information, what else are they that active in doing to stop the flow of information?
Something weird's going on, because Puzzled by it all doxed Dr. Silkman. As soon as I found out, I reported it to admin. Basically, nothing happened. I reported it again. I know I'm one of at least 20 people that reported it. I talked to them.
I reported it.
And that basically went nowhere. So there's a sub called Mod Help, and it's ran by the admin of Reddit. And I reported it again at the 1-year anniversary of my original report. Got a little bit of attention, a little bit of blah, 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 but really nothing. I reported it again at the anniversary of 18 months and 2 years. And finally, it was some lame blame excuse. Used to, if you dock someone on Reddit, that was the red line. You're done. You're out. Nothing happened to Puzzles. Nothing. All that really happened was Doc's name was removed or that comment got removed. Okay, well, it's too late. It stayed up there for I don't know how long. Come on, man. There was just some really ridiculous things that occurred.
Well, it's
one of the reasons I kind of uninvolved myself from Reddit. Anyway.
Yeah, it was a systematic attack on myself, my credentials. He's not a real doctor. He doesn't know anything about DNA. He didn't go to a university. He didn't do this. And it's funny because I got told exactly where the thread was. And guess who landed in there? I did. I'm there. Okay, guys, I'm here.
Yep.
The OP deleted his original comment, disappeared. Boom.
Yep.
And you know who that was, right? He's the one that did all these videos about Item FL.
Zhang.
Yep. Lou.
Yeah, Zhang Lou. Yeah.
Lou. And I had these massive discussions with him saying, mate, you can't put this bullshit up, you know? And my comments disappeared. And as soon as I found out what he was talking about, me, I landed in there saying, all right, I'm here. What do you want to ask? Boom. The guy deleted his IP, disappeared. Boom. Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. It's
I mean, you don't know if it's a bored 14-year-old in his mom's basement or a DA who is,
right.
You just don't know. And that's the weird thing. I mean, I don't think it's a 14-year-old because of the effort they went into to make the conviction look plausible.
But the issue is it's misinformation and disinformation. The guy also played snippets of Brendan Dassey's phone calls without context.
Oh yeah,
without context. Yeah,
without context. You go, you dirty bastard, right?
Was intentionally misleading, which is a Kratz. Mr. Precedent will tell you that's a telltale Kratz thing.
Yep, absolutely. Without the proper context, right? And that's why I like what we do at Foul Play. We present the original documents. You can go to the library, you can read them, you can assimilate them, put them together. We're not going to play a little snippet and say, "Oh, just trust me, just trust me." We'll tell you where it comes from. You want to read the whole document, hear the whole phone call. It's right there. But playing little snippets to give an impression,
cherry pick,
right? Which is exactly what happened in Cam, right? The total destruction of Stephen, right? His character, his personality, snippet. You go, oh my God, this guy's Hannibal Lecter. right?
Well, and a lot of it was just complete hearsay. They didn't have anything to back it up.
Yeah.
A lot of it. It was
Yeah.
terrible.
That goes to show the mentality of certain individuals and certain groups, that if they target you, their aim is to destroy you and your credibility. But it's funny because no one has had a counter argument with me to say, look, I don't agree with your analysis on the DNA results in this case. I think it's this. No one. Why? Because we've got the reports, we've got the analysis, right? So you present the facts as they are. We've got the troll testimonies, right? You hide nothing. Here it is, guys. Boom.
Right.
So no one can present a counter argument, right? And when you think about it, right, guys, what's this case based on? DNA. DNA forensic evidence. That's my field. Right. If I enter in a field where I've got no expertise, hey, I'll say straight away, I don't know anything about law, the law process. When it comes to DNA and the forensics, that's what I did. That was my living. That's what I did my PhD in, right? All those molecular markers that are used in the forensic testing and the PCR, what do you think I did? I isolated similar markers when I was doing my PhD, when we were doing gene studies, right? I isolated polymorphic markers and we did family analysis, linkage analysis. I did the whole lot. I taught all these techniques. I did them, right? So reading the reports for me, the DNA reports, water off a duck's back. It's easy. Go. That's nothing.
Well, for you, but for the rest, of us, it's like reading Braille, or hieroglyphics, man. It's
in terms of difficulty, on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe a 3 or 4. It's simple. Once you know it, because that's what I did. That's what my study was all about. The genetics, the molecular biology, the techniques, the analysis, reading those reports, piece of cake. And that's how I got started in the case. When I listened into Ericosi, Rubber Ducky, back in the day, people were asking questions about the DNA.
There you go.
And they were getting a lot of things wrong. And I didn't know anything about the case, but I would answer in the chat saying, oh, no, guys, this is what's been shown. This is the results. Or this is such and such and such. Until I got further involved in the case, et cetera, et cetera. And here we are now, nearly 7 years later? Boom.
Well, 9 for me, but,
First,
somebody asked me, and I don't remember who it was. They had sent me a message, said, hey, have you heard of this Dr. Silkman? I'm like, huh? No. Well, they're on Rubber Ducky's, he's a DNA guy, and he seems to know what he's talking about. And I said, well, give me a link. And I remember I caught it. I caught the broadcast right before Rubber Ducky brought you on. And you were talking. I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking about. Now I can listen to him explain what's going on here and understand it in a layman's terms. I don't remember what it was that specifically, but so that was God. 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
It's a long time ago. See, people forget. I lectured in this stuff for 20 plus years. I used to lecture to medical students, to science students, to students doing biotech. And what did I talk about? All the DNA techniques, all of them, PCR, sequencing, cloning, the whole lot. That's my bread and butter, right? So doing these analyses and presentations, that's what I did for my whole academic life, right? Getting a lot of information and breaking it down, distilling it down, and then presenting it in a digestible manner. And anyone can understand that.
Yeah, right? and teaching students. So that's the blessing.
I taught thousands. Yep.
Yeah, correct. That's the blessing, because knowing the information but not having the skill set to help others know it doesn't really help but knowing it and then having the ability to help others learn it
Correct.
is
Correct.
where you have been a blessing to all of us.
Well, and also
Because-
explaining the process of examining a DNA sample. This is
Yeah.
the bulk of it's what I learned from Doc about accredited labs, about the process of how it really has to work every time. It's
Every
not
time.
just you. Yeah, if you're an accredited lab, you have a set of rules and procedures that must be followed every time. It's not like you pick and choose. Like, well, that negative control. It don't really matter this time. Yeah, it really does matter.
It does. It does, very much so. Yep.
So anyway, we do have one more question. I promise
Oh.
we'll get up here from Kansas. Sunshine, you want to read that out?
Hi, Kansas. I'm not sure that my reference to Remaker getting on his hands and knees is hitting home. It's not that it happened, but for the sheriff to reveal it, that is weird, as in scandal mongering. I agree. What it is the more that I think on this entire Remaker scenario, the more I think Remaker is who we thought Colburn was going to be. You know what I mean? I think they may be hanging him out to dry.
Already
Now,
have.
that's the theory. Well, not necessarily yet, because right now it's just for this. It's just for what he's been charged with. But, I mean, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Next few months are going to be really interesting in this case.
He gets down on his hands and knees. He gets
If
down on his hands and knees.
If there's
What's
any
that, Doc?
question, if there's any question of him and the Avery case,
Yeah,
fuck.
got a problem. Yeah, big problem.
Well, I
Huge
put
atomic
this
explosion.
comment. Yeah, I put this comment in the chat. Okay. But here's something for us all to think on. So the lead DA has been shown to be unethical and to do things that are quite disturbing. The public defender, in Brendan's case, his actions led to Brendan's case being overturned. Then you have Colburn and that whole shenanigans, right? However you want to look at that. We can throw Wendy Baldwin in there in her 5-6 DUIs. And now we have Remaker. Okay. So, and then we have the phone call from Deb Strauss. Now, those are the 4 that we know have had at minimum criminal contact or been fired or done things that have led to scrutiny about their actions in this case. Then you have Deb Strauss volunteering herself into this case
because she don't like Stephen Avery.
Because she doesn't like Stephen Avery. So, is there anyone else we're missing? So you have 4 people connected to this case, all from different realms.
Well, there's another one. There's another one.
Who?
Well, it's got to be Steve Harrington at the Wisconsin Crime Lab that reported what you found, the blunt and bloody instrument found in the back of the RAV. Where the hell did it go?
Yeah.
Where the hell did it go? This drags the Wisconsin Crime Lab, aside from what Culhane did with Adam FL, right into this pile of stuff. It's really questionable for me.
And then we have the letter where the Manitowoc City Council it's saying we don't care where Stephen's trial is held as long as Willis is the judge over it.
Oh yeah, Fallon and Kratz, the state wanted Willis to come along with that trial wherever it was at. Yep.
But why would the Manitowoc Council
Yeah, I don't know.
have a say so on or a care about who the judge was? Why would
But
they
you
be
sh-
writing a
you sh-
letter saying we
shouldn't
don't
have-
care?
It
That's
shouldn't have any
right.
standing. Shouldn't have any standing to me.
It should have never have been. It should have never have had. They should have never had a desire to write a letter to say that, like, because they had no dog in the fight, supposedly.
I agree.
So,
But
yeah,
but hold on. If I could just add something, then you look at the behavior of not allowing the coroner on the property.
That's
Right.
another one.
oh yeah,
And
that's a
then
good one.
when you start factoring all of these things together, it starts to stack up, right? And
Yeah.
like I said, you've got at the moment you've got Remica out here, right? If there's any hint of misconduct involving the Avery case,
Oh boy.
and he's involved,
Oh
oh
boy.
boy.
Well, then we
Oh.
factor in. We haven't even talked about all the items of evidence that have gone missing or were given away or whatever, destroyed.
Yeah.
The
You know what we
the-
should do?
The edited phone calls.
Yeah,
Good.
we should do a analysis of where Remiker was in this case on record.
You just saw it in the podcast yesterday. He's the first guy that walks into the garage.
Yep.
Right. And he's the first one that was in Stephen Avery's trailer
That's
before
right.
the official trial. And he's the first one in there again on the 5th. Right. They went in. Right. And
Yep.
they noticed the blood. And then he denied that he was with Brutus. I wasn't
But he
in there
was.
with the dog.
But he was.
And called the DOJ wanting to know if they had their fancy schmancy cell phone
Sting-
tracker. Wasn't that him?
Stingray. Yeah, it was him.
Mm-hmm.
The Stingray. Anyway. All right, guys. It's been a great conversation. We could talk all night.
Yes, it has.
So anyway, we'll pick up again for next time, unless something happens this week. We're going to dive right back into this. We'll just keep going through and doing what we did tonight, examine whatever. If you got questions, please put it in the comments after the video processes. Join us in Discord, whatever. And if you have something you want to talk about, let's get it done. I'd certainly like to thank Christina and Doc for coming along, everybody in the live chat as well. Some great stuff going on, especially with the release of this. It raises a lot of questions. Hopefully I'll get some answers on my open records request at some point soon. We'll just have to wait and see. Appreciate everybody. And I want to tell you, this has been a Foul Play production.